Okay, it says we're live. I'm not even going to do intro music.
I was going to say, are you doing an intro or what
I'm
are
not
we
doing
doing?
an intro. No, we're just
All
going to
right.
jump right into this. Yeah.
All right.
It says we're live. I'm gonna wait and yeah, okay. It's showing that we got 20 people watching now. Okay, cool. Welcome everybody. Been looking forward to doing this. First off, welcome my guest Nick from the Lost River Drive-In. He was on the stream with me. Like a month ago, right, Nick?
Yeah,
something like that. And I think we were talking about Halloween Ends, and I was on his stream with him and Christian for the You Need a Horror podcast, which is an awesome podcast. So I was going to do this just by myself. And I was like, it'd be cool to kind of bounce this off of somebody. And so I was like, hey, I was going to do this with Nick and Christian, but Christian's busy. So we got Nick here, though. And it's going to be a little bit of a love fest, I believe, between the both of us. But you guys in the chat, feel free to, try to be respectful. I know some of you are going to be like, fuck this movie. And that's fine. You say what you feel. Just be respectful to each other. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. You can voice your opinion, but just be respectful to each other. So Nick, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. As Lee said, Christian can't be here tonight. He is currently in Lexington, Kentucky for Scarefest.
Nice.
Wham's there, Piz Owl's there. A lot of people are going there. I'm going there too. When we wrap tonight, I'm hitting the road and I'm going to get to the hotel around 1 a.m. and I'm going to meet Christian in person for the first time. We're, staying in a hotel together.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to be in the flesh. We're going to record a podcast episode in person this weekend, which will be really cool.
Damn. That's cool.
So I'm excited. We're going to be at Scarefest tomorrow. So if any of you guys are at Scarefest and you want to come say hello, I know some people have already messaged about it. Feel free. Wanted to have Christian on here, but yeah, last I saw, they were at Liquor Barn, stocking up. So, he's having fun all on his own,
Where is Scarefest?
It's in Lexington.
I live.
Yeah, I live in Dayton, so it's about a 2-hour and 15-minute drive. So it's really not bad. And I was thinking about going, and then a few months ago when Christian was like, I'm going, I already bought my tickets, you should go. And I was like, well, if he lives in Louisiana and he's coming up for this, what's my excuse? So I was like, all right, I'll go. So yeah.
Nope, there goes Levi. I stopped off in Dayton, Ohio once because I was, back when I was in the military and I was at training, and the training was actually in Dayton. And so I got to see Dayton for just a little bit, for like maybe a week or something like that.
Not a lot here, man. It's
no.
I live on the outs. Yeah, I live on the outskirts. So I'm not in the city or anything. I'm kind of rural. It's like fields, and then here's a street and a cul-de-sac, and that's my cul-de-sac. And then there's fields on the other side. So not a lot out here.
Did you grow up there?
No. I grew up in the Cincinnati area. Actually, I grew up 10 minutes away from Kings Island. I lived next to Kings Island my entire life. And when I was 23, I met someone that lived in Dayton, and my friends and family had all kind of got married and moved on with their lives and moved away. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'll move to Dayton. So that's why cool. I'm here. Yeah.
That's awesome. You were talking about you're going to be meeting Christian and all those guys in Scarefest. It's like very rarely do you actually get in the same vicinity as another YouTuber. That's got to be a cool experience.
Yeah, it is, because Christian and I text every day. And we obviously have a show together, so I consider him a close friend. But it's different to actually then just be in the same room as them. Like I'll be honest with you, Lee. I've been thinking about this in my head. I'm like, when I get there tonight and he opens the door, like, do I shake his hand? Do I give him a hug? Like, what do I do? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I know this guy so well. I've known him for years. Yeah. And then getting to meet Wham will be cool. We've done stuff with them too. And obviously I know you know them well. So Piz Owl and all these guys. I mean, it's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's like some of the best friends I've ever made in my life, I've never met in person. It's kind of strange when you say it like that, but
yeah,
it's true. And I think a big reason is because we all have that common bond, Yeah. We all love horror. We all love movies. So our personalities might kind of be similar,
But, I've heard anybody I know that has met like-minded YouTubers in this community in person, it's gone over very well. It's like, well, we pretty much know each other already. So we're just
meeting
in person,
exactly.
you know? Yeah.
Probably makes breaking the ice a little easier.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
I'm pulling up my movie now. Okay, Peacock. Here we go. Let me get that.
I got
my big 50. I got a 55-inch right next to me.
I paused it at 1 second, so my screen's still black.
Okay, I'm pulling up Peacock right now. Let me say hello to the chat. Nuclear Fusion Hatchet Boys, and Antonis Andriotis. I hope I said that right, Antonis. Anthony? Is it Anthony? Is that how you say it, Ant?
No, it's Antonis. It's Antonis.
It's Antonis. Okay, that's cool. I wish my name was Antonis. That's freaking awesome. George Hellman, Scott Lauderdale. What's up, brother? Melissa, Ralph, Rudy. I think I see a couple new faces. If you're new here, say hello. Say hello. Say hello. I'm new, and my favorite scary movie is do like that.
Some of these are some people from my channel that normally watch me. Hello, guys. How are you?
Nice. There's Charlotte Gore. I've seen her. I see her on Instagram. Yeah. Doom Turkey, Mega Cat. I see Mega Cat all the time. Deadhead. Time for a nice cold one. That's usually when I start kicking things off. When I read "Time for a Nice Cold One" with Deadhead, then it's go time. You know,
a nice cold monster. What's Lee got tonight?
I got those, like, I guess they're kind of like mini monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a Gatorade. And I got some water.
I've got Coca-Cola. Yeah, that's
in case of emergency. I do have some gummy worms up there too. So
you always got to have candy nearby. You never know when you're gonna need
always.
it. Yeah.
You know, Halloween Ends. There it is. So I'm gonna hit watch now, and I'm gonna pause it.
Okay.
Chat. How many of you guys are watching
ads?
with us?
Do you get ads on Peacock?
No,
you don't.
I don't know if that's because I signed up for the.
Never mind. You might get one at the very beginning. They show like a preview for their Halloween lineup, Peacocktober or whatever. But yeah, it might play because mine did, but now I have it paused on 1 second. So
I got mine paused on. It says 7 seconds. It's showing. It's like the beginning of the Universal logo.
Okay, let me get to where you are because there's the Peacock logo. You're right. You're right. Forgot about that. All right, I am at 7 seconds. So
all right,
I know that people want to watch along.
Sweet. Netflix Gen Studio says, looking back, Kills is my favorite of the trilogy. It's so fun and rewatchable. Way more to love than not to love. You know, that's the thing about Kills. It's very rewatchable, and I find myself throwing it in constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Charlotte
says she doesn't have Peacock. I know some of the territories they don't have. I think maybe does Canada have Peacock? I'm not sure. I don't know, but some people don't have Peacock. Which that means they have to wait until this comes on physical media.
What is that? December 27th, I think.
Yeah. Did you get your pre-order in for the Steelbook?
Yeah, I did. You know I did. Yeah.
You know I did, brother.
I had people messaging me like, "Hey, dude, the pre-order's up." I'm like, "Come on now, I was already on it. I appreciate y'all looking out, but yeah, if you guys know, like guys like Lee and myself, we're there day one. So,
and let me just say something to the chat since we're talking about the Steelbook. Don't be that guy, okay? Don't be that guy on the day this comes out. You go to your freaking Best Buy and there's nothing there. And then you're like, damn it. And then you try to go on pre-order it. You can't pre-order because it's sold out. Because I guarantee you that's going to happen. It's happened with the last 2 Steelbooks. So if you want that Steelbook, dig deep in your pockets and pre-order it right now, okay? You'll thank your Uncle Lee. I swear to God you will, all right?
Well, also, Lee, am I mistaken, or does Best Buy charge you right away or when it ships?
That I'm not sure.
Because that's one thing that's cool about Amazon that I always tell people. If something goes up for pre-order and they're like, I can't afford it right now, you can pre-order it. They don't charge you till it ships. So
I think Best Buy might charge you, and somebody in the chat might know this, but I think Best Buy does charge you immediately. It's like $40 out the door.
Yeah.
But I have the other 2 Steelbooks. I have to. It's not even an option. I have to have this one.
Yeah.
So
it's cool too. I like the art. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Listen to Old Lee. That's what David Thorson says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. You guys ready to start it?
I'm ready, man.
All right. I'm going to count it down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play. There we go. Ooh, I'm excited already. Oh man.
I might
hey guys,
need to
by
turn
the way,
my
if
TV
you don't like this movie, it's okay. Me and Nick, we're not telling you you're wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's all opinions. We all have different brains. And, sometimes movies, that's the beauty of movies. They affect us in different ways. A movie might trigger something from your childhood that was so nice and beautiful, and that movie will stay with you forever. But then the next guy, he'll hate that movie with a fiery purple passion because it might also bring something from him, or he just might be bored, or who knows. So that's the beauty of it. What do you think, Nick?
I couldn't agree more, Lee. I think that people have to understand that everybody's got different tastes, and some movies will make people feel some things, and that's a good thing, and we shouldn't, I don't know, hate people for that, or clown them for that. We should, as a community, we should embrace that and be like, I got a lot of cool comments on my review videos that were like, it didn't work for me, but I'm glad it worked for you, and that's the right answer. That's the right answer to have.
There you go. Hey, Trina. Trina says, hey, Lee. I say, hey, Trina. Vinny, how are you doing? I saw Charlotte said she's come around to the movie, which I'm telling you guys, you might be in that chat right now and you might hate this movie. I think there's a very, very good chance that you might come around to this movie. I'm calling that right now. I think a lot of people are going to come around to this movie just because. And I think one of the reasons people don't like this movie is because of the other two movies, and to them it doesn't feel like it belongs. But I think once you step back, you look at all 13 of your movies in like maybe a couple years from now, you'll just reach out and grab that one, and you'll be able to watch it just fine. And then when you watch it, be like, that was a good movie.
It's a wild concept, Lee. I've been trying to tell people this. Like, Halloween 3 was the same way. Believe it or not, I mean, people don't really realize this sometimes. Halloween H2O, look at Rotten Tomatoes. It's 50-50 audience and critic score as well.
It is.
People don't understand that time. That saying, man, time heals all wounds. If you went into this movie with expectations and then walked out of this movie and those expectations weren't met, you're upset. But 5-10 years from now, you're probably, especially after Michael comes back and you get new movies, you'll be able to look back on this with a different appreciation and be like, this was cool that they tried something new.
So the scene we're at right now is Jeremy, the little mean kid. And there's a reason that this kid is mean, because they're trying to set something up about, you can kind of relate this to young Michael Myers and how we don't know what Michael Myers was like before it all went down. But maybe he was like Jeremy, maybe he was a brat kid, and maybe the evil was festering in him for months, years, whatever. And then eventually one day he just snapped. So, and Nick, let me know if you think I'm way off here, but this is kind of playing with that situation. But what happens if it leaves that kid because that kid dies, right? Because of an accident, a terrible accident. And so then it goes to Corey, who Corey here looks like a nice, upstanding young man. But one fatal accident can affect the trajectory of your life forever after. You could start off a nice, human being. And I think that's what they're setting up here.
No, you're 100% right. From the first time I watched this movie, and I've watched people break down this movie and give their readings on some of this stuff. Yes, Jeremy it's obviously to draw a parallel to young Michael Myers, 100%. Like, I don't think that can be missed. And also, I think it's just another example of generationally. You look at Corey, he's 21 years old here. You look at Jeremy, he's probably what, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
And then Michael Myers is 65. But it's to show that evil and the effect that evil has had on this town has affected every generation in different ways, and it's kind of gotten passed on to every generation a little bit in a way. And as we get into the movie more, and you wonder, the question is, does Corey, had he always had this in him, or did it pass to him? I don't know if it's either. I mean, it got passed to him, I think, but also it's just this town. There's something about this town. Like, they just can't get away. There's this cloud over it. And
yeah, that's the thing too, is you could look at this as a Haddonfield thing, and this might have existed even before Myers, throughout time. Who knows? I mean, they could even do a freaking movie that goes back into like the Middle Ages, that happens to be set in Haddonfield, what would become Haddonfield. And I love that they're planting these little new ideas in this movie that get you thinking, like somebody told me, they told me that they're so angry. They hate this movie so much. And my response was, but isn't it cool that at least you felt something? Because how many times have you walked out of a movie and you feel nothing? It's just, you could find any of these movies on Netflix. You could watch it right now and it's gone like a freaking glass of water, and you'll never think of it again. It doesn't raise any kind of emotion in you. So here, this movie comes along and it gets people just freaking angry. And I've always thought some kind of emotion, even if it's a negative emotion, is better than no emotion at all, which is kind of what Michael Myers is. No emotion, right?
Yeah. So, the last movie I saw in the theater recently that I had that reaction to was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. It was one of those movies that I walked out and I said, I felt nothing. Like I'm not angry. I'm not happy. It was just there. Like it happened.
Yeah.
And
Same.
now I'm going home. You know what I mean?
I already forgot about it until you mentioned it.
yeah, I know. So, I had a buddy go, you got to pick up the Blu-ray. And I was like, probably not. But more power to you.
But I still remember Prom Night, the Prom Night remake, which I hate with a fiery purple passion. But I'm glad that I hate that movie, because at least it's there in my brain, and I still have a feeling, and I have opinions about it on why I hated it and what was so wrong about it. And there's people that like that movie, and I get why they like it. But I guess my point is, I'm just glad that I have some kind of emotion, and maybe it's a good thing that I still remember the movie. Like Lords of Salem. That's a movie I'll never forget. It's not for me, but I guarantee I'll never stop thinking about it, from time to time, because there's something about Rob Zombie. He brings forth either love or hate, and I think those directors are the ones that should be in the business, if I'm being honest.
Yes. Yeah. You want to elicit a reaction, whether it's positive or negative. I mean, controversy sells, man. If you can get people to talk about your films, you're doing something right. So I'm a big Rob Zombie fan, though I will be the first to tell you which of his movies are not very good. He's hit or miss, even as someone that's a fan of him.
But he takes a swing,
Yes, and he makes you talk about him. People can't stop talking about him. So,
and sometimes a swing is a miss, and it's a horrible and even embarrassing miss sometimes. But The Room. But you know what? Anybody that's seen The Room will never forget The Room. It'll stay in the freaking, in society for all time, pretty much. Like it'll be there forever.
Lee, you were setting me up without even knowing it. You were saying sometimes, you swing and it's a miss, and I was going to say, and then sometimes you swing and it's a Halloween Ends.
Exactly.
So,
and it's for me. I mean, wow. All right, let's jump into this movie. He is upstairs right now. He is trapped in the attic, and I remember watching this, and I'm like, where is this going? What are they doing here? What are they setting up? And I liked that. And I knew going into this that this was going to be different. We're YouTubers. We're kind of in the know on the Halloween. I knew that there was going to be this strange Corey character. So even with that, I still went into this, I think, even more excited, because I want something different. I don't want the last two movies. As much as I like the last two movies, if I got those movies again for a third time, I think I'd be quite upset. I wanted them to swing for the fences. That's what I wanted.
I agree. And one thing that's noticeable here too, that I don't think a lot of people really have talk about enough, is look at how angry and scared Corey is right here. Like, this is a grown man, but he's scared of Michael Myers. Like he's scared. But buddy,
the kid just fell. Man, that scene, that may be one of the most shocking scenes in the movie. It really is. And this is the Scream opening. The scene, the sequence that really gets the blood pumping, and you get curious about where the story is going to go. Pretty much starting off with a bang. Then boom, those opening titles. I got to hear this music for a sec. I love that. Oh my God. What do you think about this pumpkin sequence?
Okay, so when I first saw it, I was kind of like, what is this? And then after my first watch and then hearing people talk about it in their videos, I love it because what it's saying is it's literal visual representation of changing shape. And that's the whole theme of this movie. Evil comes in many different shapes, and I love that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I like the look of the pumpkins too. This is showing you that, hey, this isn't the traditional Halloween pumpkin. So they're pretty much setting you up right here from the get-go with the font color, which is very reminiscent of Halloween 3. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I saw, immediately when that font came up, immediately I was like, oh boy, they just gave us a Halloween 3 reference. Okay.
Did you have that spoiled? Did you have that spoiled beforehand? Because I did.
The font?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Wednesday, somebody posted a screen grab of it Wednesday on Twitter, and I was like, awesome, but dick.
Damn it.
Like, yeah. I was like, why? I wanted to see that in the theater. Like, that would have been so sick. But I love it. And do you think
trilogy too?
Do you think this is a throwback to that creepy duck art design poster that they did? Remember that poster where it's like the face and it looks like it's like stretching across the poster? Creepy Duck Art did that. It looks very similar to that pumpkin ripping open. Yeah.
And then right after they go back to the first movie, and I'm like, oh, what are they doing here? Are we going to spend some time back in the first movie, maybe from a different angle or something like that? I think this is a good little setup, kind of reminding us where we've been and why we're in the state that we're in now. Because one of the big issues people have with this was it's only been 4 years and all of a sudden she's fine now. Whereas for 40 years, she's been a basket case. Why is she all of a sudden, and I will say this, and I'm not going to say this movie's perfect. All right. That is a valid concern. But if I had to say what that means, I'll just say 4 years of therapy can do wonders for a person. And I don't think she had, well, she did say she had self-help therapy and all that before, but I think she just reached a point in her life where, okay, I faced him again and I'm, sometimes it's just a decision and maybe some good therapy. And maybe she was able to, am I grasping? And if you be honest with me, tell me I'm grasping.
No, because I've actually gone to bat for this decision for Laurie since this movie came out. I agree with it. And people have said it makes no sense. Why would she be Sarah Connor in 2018? And now she's this. And the simple answer I have for that is Laurie has understood, whether it's right or wrong, she blames herself for Karen's death. She blames herself for Allison being attacked. She blames herself for a lot of the deaths that occurred in these previous two movies. She basically got to the point, it seems, like nothing that the route I'm going, I'm not achieving anything. It's just making things worse. So I need to get over this paranoia. I need to try to live my life and also the scene in Kills where Will Patton tells her it's never been about you was really profound to her. It was a moment where she was like, wow, it really wasn't about me, was it? Like all this waiting for him, he doesn't care about me. So I agree with the decision. I do.
I think that moment where Hawkins told her that, hey, this was not about you, maybe that was a light switch for her. And I've heard stories of, alcoholics, for an example, that have been alcoholics their entire lives, 40 years, something like that. And you would think that being able to quit would be a process, 12-step process, all that. But I've literally heard stories of people quitting cold turkey just like that. And somehow, it didn't affect them. They were just able to quit. And I can say my wife's father, he literally was a drinker his entire life. And then at a certain point in his life, and I think he did it for his children, he just quit immediately, just like that. And, I'm sure behind the scenes when the kids weren't in the room, I'm sure he probably battled a little bit, but he was able to do it. He was able to quit cold turkey, and so I do. Is it possible? Yes, I think it's possible. Is it probable? Maybe not. But in movies, if it's possible, then let's go. And especially if it serves the story.
We have given this franchise so much suspension of disbelief for things that are far more improbable than this character decision. I just think that I just think it's another thing that people nitpick at because they didn't like the movie. And I don't think it's fair because, like I said, I mean, we've seen that Laurie Strode, and that Laurie Strode at this point in her life would be wise to realize that being that way is not going to accomplish anything. So she has to try something different. And I'll remind everybody too, if you've seen this movie, Laurie is that grandma that's going to bake you pie and cookies, but she's still got that badassery in there.
And you see that. You see moments of that a couple times. I mean, you see the one where the victim reminds Laurie of what happened outside the grocery store, and she has a little relapse moment there where she has to. And Hawkins luckily comes in and says, "Hey, are you okay?" And she didn't have that for so long. Somebody in the chat, B. Hillis, I think. Let me go back up here. He says, I can't find him, but he said something about, this is a good question. Because they called this Halloween Ends, and a lot of people were really, really upset with this movie because of expectations. They wanted a certain thing out of this movie. They were promised, and I use that word loosely, promised, because you can't trust any trailer, but no, they saw the trailer and they thought, oh, okay, that's what I'm getting. There's a big fight between Laurie and Michael. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, and I'm being dead honest. When I saw that trailer, I didn't put any stock in it. I thought that there was some heavy misdirection in that trailer. I didn't think, and I think I even said this in one of my videos, I didn't think that was going to be the main focus of the movie, Michael versus Laurie. And maybe that's why I was able to accept it a lot easier than a lot of, but there were people that they were just flat out pissed off because they didn't get Michael versus Laurie part 3. Or, how many times is Michael winning against Laurie? And I think I'm kind of tired of Michael versus Laurie, and you got that anyway. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Nick?
No, I completely agree. And also, Lee, I mean, one thing, you and I, we're diehards with this series. So yes, we've seen it a lot. And 2, most importantly, do you think you can stretch out a movie of Michael versus Laurie for an hour and 45 minutes? I don't
know.
think so.
Have at it. And hopefully it won't be monotonous and formulaic and boring. Because I didn't want that, to be honest.
She's not supernatural. She's just an old woman. I mean, what would this isn't Transformers where they can just have fights every few minutes in the movie and then there's the big fight at the end. No, I mean, when you get the showdown, you get the showdown. They're not going to go back to heel and then fight again in 20 minutes. Like, they have to find a plot. And I feel like this plot is a lot more interesting than some of the other ones we've gotten when it comes to a Michael versus Laurie movie. Yeah, we know we're going to get that showdown and we still get it. But what happens before that? Keep me interested before that. How do we get from point A to point B? You may not like how we get from point A to point B in this movie. I happen to like it myself, but it's enthralling. It makes you, we're talking about it. People are talking about it all online.
This shot right here, I love it because the camera pans down below the bridge. And so it's David Gordon Green is telling you, okay, here's Michael Myers. We don't need to show him, but we're reminding the audience, don't worry. Michael Myers is in this movie. The camera's starting to go towards that. And that got my heart fluttering like, okay, yeah, he's going to come into play sometime. And the good thing is, by this point, I'm so into the story, especially with Corey and everything, that I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the story. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see what unfolds. Okay. And hopefully I won't get pissed off.
So, Lee, here we get the marching band kids that are, the biggest marching band assholes
in the uniforms and everything.
Yes, but I've got to say, because I've heard people complain about this and say, really, marching band kids are bullies. Paul Brad Logan, one of the writers, he was on Wham's channel the other day with an interview, and he said that this was his inclusion in the script, and he said he did it because when he was in high school, he was bullied by marching band kids. So, yeah, I guess they exist.
Bullies come in all shapes and sizes. They really do, and it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, they could be a jock, but that's not necessarily true. Bad parenting is a thing across the board, and the kid might be in a freaking marching band. So I know when you love a movie, you tend to be a lot more forgiving of the choices. And when you hate a movie, you nitpick the choices to death. So we're all guilty, people. Okay. And so I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Okay. Should we be nitpicking that they're all in marching bands? Maybe. I don't know. But it's still 4 against 1. All right. And it's 4 against a guy who is emotionally screwed up. He didn't pick the fight, because that's another argument I've seen people too. It's like, this grown man's fighting this teenagers. They picked the fight. They pushed him against the ice machine. What is he supposed to do? They threw him over the bridge. This is a guy that went out of his way to not fight with them.
Not just that, Lee, but people have said that, oh yeah, I'm supposed to believe he takes his badass turn when he's getting bullied by 4 teenagers. And my reasoning for that is he's already labeled a child murderer. These are minors. Yeah. He's an adult. How does it help his image if he hospitalizes some kids? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
He catches a felony and he only furthers his reputation as someone that harms children. Like, he makes the right decision not doing anything.
Let me get this super chat real quick. We got Antonis said he something about Terrifier 2. I think he really liked it. Thank you, Antonis, for that. Tim Jenkins says, I wish the new trilogy took place after H2O. Lori could still have the granddaughter Allison just from her son. No daughter. Would have been nice. Well, I think the problem with that is in H2O, he was her brother. And I don't think in this particular timeline, her not being his sister was kind of an important key factor by the time we got to ends. I mean,
you don't get this character arc with Lori without it. Because you get this arc because she realizes that she doesn't matter to Michael. You don't get that arc if they're related. So yeah.
That's a key moment. No, Sean Sheridan says, what do you think the next movie will be years from now? I was definitely going to talk about that, actually. I think, let me hide this. Hold on. Okay. I think they're going to reboot the franchise. I think they're going to listen to a lot of fans who are really upset about Michael Myers. So I think in the next movie, there's a good chance we're going to see your tried and true Michael Myers, slashing through teenagers. That's where the money's going to be, I think. They're going to play it safe. Or they might play around with the Season of the Witch idea, even though that's kind of what this is. So my money's on a tried and true Myers flick where Myers is, young.
And I agree. And I think that you guys can almost guarantee that it's going to be in 2028 when we get this when this series comes back for the 50th anniversary. I mean, they're not going to miss that anniversary. I just don't think they will. So,
yeah. This young actor, Rowan Campbell. I just wanted a decent performance, but man, I was rooting for this kid. There was some actors, they just have that it quality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
they're
fantastic. Just magnetic. Mm-hmm. He's magnetic for me anyway. When I was like, God, man, there's something about this guy. He really just, I don't know. He's larger than life on the screen, and he's really great at conveying emotion. And it kind of reminded me of what George Lucas would have wanted out of an Anakin Skywalker. Because his arc is huge. He starts off this clean cut, white bread type kid, and he ends up severely damaged, and by the end of the movie, he's a killer. And it takes a strong actor to be able to pull off a performance like that. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, look at I've been watching the scene, his facial acting. Like,
yes,
his facial acting is so strong. He really does convey this nervous, shy kid that wants to make friends, but he's always second guessing himself, and you can see it in the way he looks down when he talks or kind of quivers his lip a little bit. It's just, hate the character, hate the movie or not, this dude can act, man. He can act.
And this Sean Sheridan sends in the super chat, Corey actor is Freddy in A New Nightmare. No, I think he is more akin to what Mark Patton was in Nightmare 2. He's really great at playing that type of character, I guess. Jesse in Nightmare 2. Could he play a Freddy? Maybe, probably. But if he has a comfort zone, I would not be surprised if this is his comfort zone, because he does such a great job at this.
Yeah. And Lee, I want to ask you, now that she's on screen, a lot of people feel like Lindsay Wallace was wasted in this movie, and I don't agree. And I don't agree because I think that what you're saying is you wanted her to cross paths with Michael, but unfortunately, like everybody else, if she did, she was probably going to die. She got away in the last movie, so let her go out on a high note. Let her just run a bar and, be a townsperson, and she doesn't have to die. I'm okay with that. I don't think she was wasted.
Well, also you got to consider the story, and I think David Gordon Green and company, they were definitely putting the story first and foremost. So if you wanted to put Lindsay in action, Myers isn't out and about quite yet, and most of the movie he's down in the sewers. So Lindsay's not going to go in the sewers. Also, Corey, even though he's a killer, the first people that he kills is more out of revenge and people that harmed him, self-defense. Mm-hmm. And Lindsay, again, is nowhere near that territory. So I just think it was just, are we going to go out of our way to try to put her in Corey or Michael's path, or do we want to just see this through and come up with the best story that we possibly can? So in the end, it didn't bother me. We had a great scene with Lindsay versus Michael in Kills, and when you watch the trilogy, there it is. I don't think you need to repeat that.
Yeah, that would have just been people complained so much about fan service in this trilogy. And if you try to force Lindsay into a situation versus Michael or Corey in this movie where it doesn't organically make sense, that's just fan service. And I don't need that.
And there, right now, we got Allison. By the way, Andy Matichak, this is my favorite performance of hers. You can tell you can see a little bit of that damage behind her eyes, in her performance. She is a lot more sexual in this movie than she has been in the previous two movies. She likes the bad boy, obviously, which is fitting with what she's been through and that type of character. And this is something that's subjective, but I thought the chemistry between her and Corey was palpable. I thought I could feel it. It was oozing off of them throughout the movie. And it didn't hurt that you had that, that really neon-like cinematography. Just, I don't know, very sexy, I thought.
I was going to say, Lee, Andy Matichak's, she's an attractive woman, but it wasn't until this movie where I'm watching it in the theater going, she's kind of hot. You know what I mean? Like,
I was okay.
And I think it's because she really does cut loose in this movie. I feel
she lets loose.
You get to see more of her unbridled personality, and I like that.
Yep. And I like that they're restraining Laurie in this. Like, I think this is my favorite Laurie Strode performance. They're restraining her. You still see bits and pieces of her, but this is really focusing more on Corey and Allison. And Laurie's, she comes into the picture there in the final act.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice. No Laurie one-liners,
Oh my God, I know. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie too, man. Their chemistry in this will they or won't they for 3 movies now. I'm kind of mad that they're just not already together. I really wanted that with the time jump, but this scene is just this is my Laurie Strode. That's how I put it. This reminds me of 78 Laurie Strode. Awkward, shy with the boys. That it just reminds me of that.
Okay, here is a good spot. I want to address something. So recently on Danielle Harris's podcast, Talk Scary to Me, she talked about when she met Jamie Lee Curtis for the first time, and it didn't go like she wanted it to. Let's just put it that way. It was an very awkward situation. When you listen to the podcast, I wanted to take a side, and let me just work through this. I felt really bad for Danielle and Scout, and Scout got emotional even. And so I made a mistake, and I went to Twitter and I posted my opinion on a thing, and I used a word that I don't like using. I used disgusting. I said that Jamie Lee Curtis's behavior was disgusting. And if you listen to the context of how that meetup went down, some of you might feel that way, but I'm going to apologize on that because I was wrong. I was wrong to pick a side, because I don't know what Jamie Lee Curtis's side of the story is. And I automatically wanted to, I'm on their side. And I don't know them, and I don't know Jamie Lee Curtis. So what the fuck am I doing? It's not my position to pick a side. And also, I do have a responsibility here because I do have a platform. Okay, it's not a massive platform, but it's a platform. And when I went on Twitter, of course, I had some people backing me up, saying, "Yeah, I agree with you, Lee. Screw her." And that's when I was like, "Whoa, this is not good. I shouldn't be doing this." And so then I deleted the tweet, and I guess the big thing is it's none of my business. It's kind of a private matter. I think Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton, maybe they needed to do that to kind of, maybe it was therapeutic for them to just kind of vent it out. But when you're venting it out to an entire platform, you're going to have people that come to your defense, and you probably don't want them to come to your defense. And I'm guilty of that. I shouldn't have done that. So thinking back, and I watched this documentary with Jamie Lee Curtis today, the night she came home, and it gave me a little bit more perspective too, because Jamie Lee Curtis, she stayed away from the horror community for quite a few years, so she didn't really follow the movies that didn't have her in them. And so her response to Danielle Harris was, "I don't know you, and I don't watch those movies." And so I get what Danielle Harris was saying, and that was a moment that she wanted to share with her kids, I guess, down the line, and it didn't go like she planned it. The fantasy that she had in her head about meeting Jamie Lee Curtis did not work out the way she wanted it to. So I feel bad for all sides, even though I'm wondering if Jamie Lee Curtis has even heard about this story. I don't know, but I wanted to say that because it's none of my business. It's none of anybody else's business. I think people have bad days. I think people sometimes they're tired. And when you're that big of a celebrity and you're constantly promoting this movie, you might have your breaking point where you're just like, okay, I'm done. I need a break. And maybe that's where she was. Okay. I wanted, in my mind, when I first heard it, my knee-jerk reaction was Jamie Lee Curtis should have said, "Oh my God, that's so cool. You played my daughter," and then welcomed her with open arms and whatnot. But again, I was wrong. I picked a side. I shouldn't have done that. I should have kept my fucking mouth shut. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Nick, do you have any thoughts on the Jamie Lee Curtis, Danielle Harris?
Yeah, I do. It's the way I look at it is Jamie Lee she's openly said not only that she doesn't watch horror movies, she says she hates them. Like she avoids them.
Yeah.
So, and that's never been a secret. She just doesn't like them. And the only time she's ever watched horror movies is when she has to attend a premiere for her own movie. That's really it. So, and she was very open about how in the 80s, she intentionally tried to distance herself away from Halloween. She didn't want to get typecast. She didn't. So I believe wholeheartedly she has no idea about Halloween 4 and 5 and all that, and especially the remakes. She could care less about a remake of her movie. I mean,
yeah.
So I believe she didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
But the way the takeaway, because I listened to their podcast as well, and the takeaway that I had was it's the photographer's fault. Jamie didn't do anything wrong. The photographer said, "Hey, why don't you guys come in here and get a picture with Jamie?" And they were like, "Are you sure? Like, is that cool?" Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Here, get up real close and taking pictures. So Jamie is probably like, what's going on? Like, okay. And then
he should have set the table. He should have set things up, said, "Hey, we're going to set up
this is Danielle. Yeah, this is Scout. Oh, okay, cool. You want to take a picture? Sure." But to just be like, "Here, do this," with people you don't know. And then, of course, as Danielle and Scout, they can't help it. They are fans. And so, they're going to want to tell her, "Hey, by the way," and this is after she's done a month-long press tour for this movie across the world. And Lord knows how many thousands of photos she's taken. She's probably just like, I mean, cool, but like, I don't care. You know what I mean? And that might come across as rude to some people, but I guarantee you if it was a different setting and the table had been set a little bit better, she would not have been like that.
Yeah, and if you like the documentary, The Night She Came Home, you see her sitting in the hotel and these just complete strangers walk up to her and she's nothing but lovely and nice to them. So again, I think people have a bad day. I'm, you can think back to the Tony Moran situation where he said some really, wow, crazy stuff, and funny enough, Danielle Harris came to his defense and said, hey, it's easy to pound on somebody and jump on somebody when they've done something that maybe you don't know the whole context of it. And maybe it's just not your place to, because social media can be a dangerous thing sometimes. It can be a really dangerous thing, and pylons are a dangerous thing. And when you have a platform, you got to be careful about how you behave, because you're going to have people that are going to take your side and they're going to jump, and they shouldn't be doing that. So yeah, I'm glad I got that out though.
Yeah.
I just wanted to address that. But
to that point though, real quickly, when I interviewed
ahead.
Sean Clark on my channel, and then we've talked to him on the podcast as well, Sean's gone into detail about how Jamie Lee Curtis, and he means this, was one of the most difficult clients he ever had to work with when it comes to the convention that she did that entire weekend. But he meant it in the good way. He said, because she was raring to go every day. She wanted to meet everyone. She wanted to sign everything. She wanted to take photos with everyone. When her line was supposed to cut off, she took everyone well over an hour after she was supposed to be done signing. Like that, if you do those types of things, you probably aren't a bad person. You have a bad day every now and then. But yeah, I do not think Jamie Lee is an asshole.
And you know what? This is what I would be nice. I guess I would like smile if this happened. If I heard that maybe Jamie Lee Curtis, she hears about Danielle Harris and how they were hurt, and not that she has to. She's done nothing wrong, but it would be kind of a cool gesture if she reached out to them and said, "Hey, just wanted to kind of clear the air with you two. It was nothing personal." That would make me happy, and I have no stake in this claim. I don't deserve to be happy in this situation, but that would kind of make me smile. It would be a nice gesture, but Jamie Lee Curtis. She's probably moved. She's probably in the future right now. She's not even thinking about the past,
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I hope she does. I hope she reaches out.
This is where, this is a big moment coming up. So we timed this just perfect. So these four assholes, and I like that he doesn't spell out that they're all four the same generic type of asshole. A couple of them were like, I don't think this is a cool thing. But yeah, he gets tossed over, which, do you think there's something to him not really getting hurt when he just fell over a bridge onto the ground?
Maybe. But honestly, for me, like, I do think it's almost like obviously the movie, it might be symbolism that he doesn't really get hurt.
Yeah.
But I can't lie to you, man. Watching this now, this is my third time watching the movie, and even watching this, I feel bad for Corey. I mean, I feel bad for him. Like, I'm watching this and I'm just like, dude, he wants to be normal so bad.
So bad.
And this town won't let him. They just won't. And it's just like, God, man, it sucks because like the theme of this movie is their boogeyman's gone. So they have to create a new one, and they'll stop at nothing to make somebody the new villain. And if someone tells you you are something long enough, you start to believe it yourself. And it just sucks, man.
There's a reason Corey wants to leave Haddonfield so bad. I think he knows that there is evil afoot in Haddonfield, and I think or maybe subconsciously, but I think he wants to get away. We just saw Myers pull him in. By the way, I was so curious about what's going to happen with Myers, as far as like falling off of a bridge. I know that adrenaline is a crazy thing, and I've actually seen it firsthand. A friend of mine literally broke his back in a car accident. He didn't know he had broken his back until he had gotten up, walked to a phone booth, made a call, 911, and then walked all the way back to the scene of the accident. And then when he got in the ambulance, because he was helping somebody else that was hurt, when he got in the ambulance, the person in the ambulance said, "Your back is broken." He's like, "How was I walking?" By the way, that person that he was going back to, that was me. I was laying on the ground. I fractured my lower vertebrae in my back. I was thrown from the vehicle, and I fractured my lower vertebrae in my back. He had it worse than me. His back was broken. I couldn't move. Like I thought I was paralyzed. So
Jesus,
that's a story that I've shared from time to time about the power of adrenaline. You know, that's what I call it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But even he was like flabbergasted. He was like, wait, I just walked from there a mile that way and back. How's my back broken? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's wild, dude.
It's wild. Yeah. So we're in the tunnel right now. Big scene here. Nick, I'm going to give this to you. What is going on in this scene when he grabs Corey by the neck?
Oh, man. I need to read the novelization because Paul Brad Logan says he spells it out a lot better in the novel. The movie can be interpreted multiple different ways. How I take it is, Michael, I think the visions are Corey's visions. I think Corey is having his life flash before his eyes. I think that Michael is seeing in his eyes himself.
Exactly.
And I think that in doing that, I think Corey walking away from this unscathed and then doing obviously what he does to the homeless man out there when he gets out is kind of like him almost letting Michael in a little bit. And if you are, I mean, you could get into the, the supernatural elements of just life in general and
this scene reminds me of The Crow, by the way.
Oh, I love
that camera
this.
Like turning a little bit and he's in that. That is The Crow. Oh, it's so fucking badass. Go ahead. Sorry.
But no. And I think in that moment, it was made clear to Michael, to the evil itself, that Corey is susceptible. Corey is open to it almost. And Michael sees in him something he saw in himself. He reminds him of himself. And I think Corey making this decision right now to, obviously he kills the guy in self-defense, but he stabs him more than once. So I think this is him allowing himself to have that break and allowing himself to kind of go down that path. I don't know what it was. Maybe looking into Michael's eyes, he felt that power. Maybe he wanted that too. Maybe he, I don't know, man. I mean, if the town keeps telling you you're the new boogeyman, shit, wouldn't it be cool to be a boogeyman?
Might as well be it, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'll talk a little bit about this. I think there's a reason Corey struggles with killing, and he does struggle with it a lot more than Michael did. Michael was 6 years old, and a 6-year-old brain is not nearly as developed as a 24-year-old brain. So there's a moment that's coming up where Corey, he's looking in the mirror, and to me, that's the evil that he's looking at. The evil is looking at itself in the mirror, but I think he goes in and out. He tries to fight off the evil. He tries to be himself, but it just keeps taking hold over. And really, that's what this movie's about. It's about this young guy who's everything's against him, but he has good in him and he wants to fight it. But it's a situation where once the evil has happened, once you've already killed people, then it's like there's no turning back. It fully takes hold. But we're at the scene right now. Look at him when he's looking in the mirror.
I think he doesn't recognize himself anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's this struggle right now that he's having of like, who am I? Basically, I mean, you don't look into a mirror that long.
You don't see this in a Halloween movie.
No,
never have you seen this in a Halloween movie. And I remember watching this in the theater, like, oh my God, I'm so into this story and what's going on. But by the way, I'm watching a fucking Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's like, is this like the greatest gift that's ever been given? And I swear to God, yes, I thought this was going to be a divisive movie, but I also thought everybody that saw this movie was going to be like, it was a fucking awesome movie, but I didn't like it because it's not a Halloween movie, which is a weird thing to say. Like, it isn't a great movie anyway. So,
and I would argue it is a Halloween movie. It's I would
think it is 100%.
I would argue against the people too that say it's not a Michael Myers movie, because it is a Michael Myers movie. To me, I said this the day after I saw it. I feel Michael's presence throughout this entire movie, and that I haven't felt that in a lot of Halloween movies. There's few movies in this series where you can feel that looming presence of Michael throughout, and this is one of them. And I just feel that way because he is still out there, and his evil is clearly affecting this town and affecting people in this town. And the entire time you're just waiting, wondering, when's he coming back? Because he's coming back. We know he's coming back. So I would argue against that. I understand if people say, you know, I don't think it's a Halloween movie, or it's not a good Michael Myers movie. I wholeheartedly disagree. I really, really do. I think that it is very much both of those things. It just is in different ways. And it's the juxtaposition from Kills, man, because Kills was all Michael the whole movie. So it's just like, we went from that to this. What the hell? I get that. But
I'll say this right now. This is 10 times more a Halloween movie than Halloween Resurrection. Because this gets the core of what Halloween is about. You know, the Michael Myers is pure evil, and he is permeated throughout this entire movie. It's undeniable, the effect. And like when you look at Halloween 2018 and he's standing there in the courtyard, and the evil has been at bay for 40 years. But I think it's like a vampire when he sees blood for the first time. And he's been pretty much just kind of dead, and there's no blood nearby. So when you have Aaron walking up to Myers with that mask is his life. It's his blood. And so he starts, you don't, but you can just feel something permeate, and you see all the inmates around him. They start acting up and going crazy because evil is like a rot. And that's what Myers is. Anything that he comes in contact with, even if he doesn't kill, the rot kind of festers, the evil kind of festers around the town. And the damage that he has done to Haddonfield, even though he's been gone for 4 years, it's there. And that rot, it just stays there. And that's what this movie is. It's more about beneath the surface,
If anything,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, if anything, it makes him a more powerful boogeyman, because we've seen him mow dozens of people down movie after movie. What if not only can he physically kill these people in this town, he can literally turn this town on itself? Like, it makes him more powerful. At that moment, he does transcend, in the sense of like, he is just a man in a mask, but whatever he has done, whatever he will do down the road, has infected this town to the point where it's beyond repair. I mean, I've heard people compare Haddonfield in this movie. Like, it reminds me of like rundown portions of like Detroit, Michigan. And it's like, that's the point. He sucked the soul and the life out of these people and this town. Like, pretty powerful boogeyman, if you ask me.
Yeah. And, so many people stated that this doesn't feel like a proper third movie in the trilogy. And I stated this on Twitter, that this isn't about Michael Myers. This whole trilogy is not about Michael Myers. Yeah, Michael Myers is like a major part of it, but this is about evil. And the evil, it's not just in this movie. It's the first movie. I would say it's Sartain. Sartain was already affected by the evil, and the evil kind of used him as a tool to get Myers out. And then in the second movie, this is debatable. Yeah, the town is affected by the evil, but I would also say maybe even Tommy Doyle was affected by the evil, because he thought he was doing the right thing, but he ended up doing the wrong thing, and he kind of did what evil wanted him to do, And so when it's out and it's into the whole town, like it was in Kills, it's chaos. It's pure chaos. And I think that's why I think Kills wasn't perfect, but I love it to death for what it did. But I think Kills and this movie fit together perfectly, but they're just different environments, different situations for the evil. The evil's been at bay for 4 years. It's been kind of stuck down in the sewer, but it's still out in the town, kind of, I think it's waiting, and it found that perfect moment at the beginning of this movie, of course.
And people ask too, do you think that Michael has this kinship to Corey, and do you think that's what it is? And I have always answered no. I think what this is Michael sees Corey as a vehicle. Michael sees Corey as a way for him to get, like how Stella got her groove back, guys? Like, he needs to get his groove back. He wants to put his dancing shoes back on and get back out there, but he's weak. So I'll use this kid. This kid gets me. And that's why at the end, Michael says, all right, Corey, you had your fun. I'm going to break your neck. But I don't think it was ever a Batman and Robin type thing that some people have tried to meme about. No.
I've said this in the past. It's like Corey is on his way up. Myers is on his way down. Even though Myers is evil still occupies a vessel. And that vessel happens to be 65 years old. And eventually Myers is going to die. I don't think Myers can live till he's 200 years old. It's not that type of evil. The evil can only last as long as the body can last. It can withstand bullet holes and all this stuff, but eventually it's going to die. You know,
and that's why your organs, they just don't function anymore. You know, a body gives out and the evil goes to a new body.
That's why Myers is the way he is in this movie. And to me, I loved, and I'll admit, when I first saw this movie, I walked out, I was really angry. I did not like what they did to Myers. I was mad. After I watched it 2 more times, I love Myers in this movie now. Myers has never been used this way, and he's the most important character in the movie, really. You know, he's not the main character, but I think he's the most important. He is the evil that festers throughout Haddonfield, and he causes Corey to become himself, pretty much, to become a killer. Nuclear fusion. I pulled this one up, this question, because this is an interesting one. Can anyone please explain why Michael Myers survived 40 years in prison without a kill, though? Seems like a very big plot hole. Plus, we never saw his body do the kill energy boost shimmy before in the trilogy. Okay, I got an easy answer for this. Loomis has given many speeches about Myers, right? One of the speeches he says is he sat in a room staring at a wall, inhumanly patient. Nobody is more patient than Michael Myers. And if he has to wait 40 years, he'll do that just fine. Myers doesn't feel like I need to kill every day. And by the way, he kills only on Halloween anyway. But it's not like every Halloween comes along, he's like, okay, I need to kill. No, he's just waiting for something. I'm using Loomis's words. Something to set him off, something to trigger him. That's what Myers is doing. So, yeah.
Also,
that's a scary thing to have that kind of patience.
The second part of that, Lee, because I thought the same thing the first time I watched it. Like, oh, is he like leveling up when he stabs this guy? And by the way, we're about to get to that scene, and I can't wait to talk about that when we get there. But the co-writer, Paul Brad Logan, actually said that's not what it is. He said what Michael is doing there, and some people did wonder about this, and he said this is what it is. He says it's arousal. It is. He is, and they say this a lot throughout history, serial killers get a sexual kick out of this stuff. And he says when Michael does that in the cave after he first stabs the guy, it's him like getting excited. Like he's like, oh, holy crap. Like I haven't felt this in a while.
Wow. So that's something I didn't even know.
Yeah. He said it's arousal. Like it's him. He's literally like waking up again, where he's like, you know, you get the juices flowing, adrenaline, you could even say, where he's just like, I'm back in my element, and he's happy. Like that's what it is.
You know, I hate that I don't have the volume up too, because the music is so good in this movie.
Oh yeah, Boy Harsher. This is I listen to this song like every day now.
Yeah, it's so good. And the other song that they play too, there's 2 like motorcycle scenes. One of them's Boy Harsher, and the other one I can't remember the name of it. I'll pull it up. I actually have it. But you know, not just the score, but also the score sounds very similar to like Christine. You know, I mean, this movie's a big homage to.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the song. You know, don't you miss the times when they used to release actual soundtracks from movies?
Oh yeah,
like compile this shit on a vinyl and let me buy it. Like
exactly. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that name of that song here. Hold on, let's get down there.
By the way, did you see, Lee, that there's going to be over 10 minutes of extra footage on the Blu-ray when it comes out?
Oh, really? Yeah, and they're not going to show you the alternate ending, though, right?
I don't know. I hadn't heard anything about that, but I don't know if they even shot it. So no, I don't even think they shot it. But I listened to an interview with David Gordon Green where he said pretty much everybody hated it, so they changed it. Like they did have another ending that they shot, but I don't think it was the one where the evil passed to Laurie. I could be wrong, but I don't think we'll ever see that. No, but we are going to get, I mean, you look in the trailer, there's more stuff of Laurie hiding behind walls in the house and Michael walking through the house. Like
That's why I don't trust trailers, because they could use alternate shots all day in trailers and it not even be in the movie. So I don't know why people were getting so upset about what the trailer, quote unquote, promised them. You know? The name of that song was "Come to Me" by Johnny Goth. Another really sexy song, but yeah. So Mulaney, he's going in the tunnel now. Now, I'm wondering if he's related, or if he is related to the Mulaney guy.
I wonder.
Hey, Beth's in here. What's up, Beth?
I wonder if he is Mulaney from the Kills flashback.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because somebody brought that to my attention.
I would think so, because David Gordon Green had really gotten a kick out of doing that in these movies, like giving us the adult versions of these guys from previous movies or creating new ones that existed in the same timeline. By the way, Lee, when I saw this in theaters, I noticed only a few people in my theater reacted to Michael hiding back here in a second. Yeah. Like, I saw it, but some people just didn't see it. Like, I'm like,
right there.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I noticed
he's looking like.
And what about that freaking stone that has Myers' face on it?
Yeah, I know. Dude, I love
There's got to be a deeper meaning to that.
I love this set. I love this set design. This is so
cool. And he swings the flashlight and you think it's Myers and it's Corey. So cool.
Yeah. I also love
by the way, we are interpreting a Halloween movie. How fucking cool is that? I mean, most Halloween movies, they're pretty much face value. You know what you're getting. That was a cool kill. No, we're actually deciphering what we think a certain scene means in a Halloween movie. When has that ever happened? You know, you might be able to do that with Season of the Witch, but
Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is one of the most thought-provoking, I think, in the series, and I love that movie.
Oh yeah, me too.
But oh my god, this scene, dude!
I know, man.
The music.
The wait for Myers was worth it, because I had chill bumps when he pulls that knife out and the music plays. Oh my god,
dude! My palms are sweating in the theater. I literally got the body shiver here. I was like, oh yeah, all right.
You know, because I have all those Myers movies where he's just freaking guns blazing, slaying. I've compared this to like movies like Logan, like Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood, where you have this character that in their prime, they were the most dangerous motherfucker on the planet Earth. Wolverine, William Money, Michael Myers. So those movies, Logan and Unforgiven's a freaking Oscar winner, Best Picture. Logan, dare I say Oscar worthy. I mean, probably the best Wolverine movie. And this is Wolverine when he is at the end of his life. So that's what I love about this movie, is we're seeing a late version of Michael Myers, and how is he going to react when he's vulnerable, you know?
And it's the funny thing is too, man, I know most of us knew this going in. Michael was going to die. Okay. Whether it was him and Laurie died together or she killed him, he was going to die in this movie. So, it's a lot easier to stomach that you start to see age and the type of shit he's had to deal with for decades, especially after the end of Kills, start to take effect, start to make him weaker. That way it's more believable that Laurie Strode can take him down. I mean, if you tried to tell me in Halloween Kills that Laurie Strode was going to take that Michael down, not a chance. He killed half the town. But after they beat the shit out of him and he is clearly affected by it still to this day, yes, I could totally see it being a fair fight. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point too, you know, because I know that's probably a concern that they had. Is like, how in the hell is Laurie Strode going to fight this guy in his prime? There's no way in hell. So this kind of evens the stakes a little bit.
I mean, yeah, dude, I didn't have much of a problem with it, to be honest with you. And quite frankly, another thing I've heard people say is why is he living in the sewer? You know, what is this? Guys, Michael is an animal and everything he does is animalistic. And if you remember,
he's not like a normal human being.
Yes. And if you remember earlier in this movie, there is a newspaper clipping in Laurie's house saying that the Myers house was demolished after Kills. So, and what did he want in Kills? To go home. He just wanted to be back home. Well, now his home's gone. So what does an animal do? They find somewhere to squat.
It finds a place to hide. Now, David Gordon Green, I just watched these interviews with him talking about the movie, and they were asking him like what his influences were, because originally all three of the movies were going to take place on the same night, but then he thought, How is Laurie Strode going to be in any condition to fight or even be in this movie if she is so battle damaged after kills? So he decided to go 4 years, and then he said, oh my God, this opens up all these possibilities. I can be a little selfish and maybe harken back to some of my favorite movies from the 80s, like Blood Rage, like Lost Boys, Near Dark. I urge you to watch the interview, and you'll get a better understanding of what he was going for in this movie. And you can see all those influences in there. Like I even see, like, especially like Lost Boys, Michael hanging out in the sewers is kind of like the vampire hideout in Lost Boys. Corey is similar to Michael in Lost Boys. This guy that's turning into a vampire, he's turning into evil. There's just a lot. You got this love story between Corey and Allison that's very similar to like Star and Michael. So I mean, you can draw a lot of comparisons and influences, and I think he nails it. He doesn't go too far with it. He still keeps the story front and center, but all that stuff is just, I don't know. It's really nice.
Yeah, and honestly, man, I've been saying this since this movie came out, and I will continue to defend one thing in particular about this movie, whether you liked this about the movie or not. This is the first movie in this trilogy where Danny McBride and David Gordon Green said, we're going to come up with something new for this series.
Yep.
And it might not work super well with everyone, but this is our last one anyway. And people complained about 2018 being too much like H2O. People complained about kills having pretty much no plot. So I guess the way they looked at it is damned if you do, damned if you don't. So we might as well do what we're going to do. Yeah, just do it. And if it works for them, cool. If not, doesn't matter. It's our last one. Y'all been split 50-50 from the beginning anyway. The last time every Halloween fan was happy was in 1978. And that's just a fact. So,
it's so true, man. It's so true. No matter what, if you gave people those last two movies, if you gave them that again, a big portion of your audience would have said, the whole fucking thing sucks. I hate it. They went out with a whimper. So I think, and this is just me guessing here, but I think 5 years down the line, when they look back at this trilogy, and they see that they ended it this way, I think maybe people will respect it a little bit more, that they did try something different. And for me, it worked. I think they wrapped it up really nice.
I mean, just it delivers in spades for me. I mean, I went into this movie. It is well documented on my channel and with my podcast with Christian. One episode, the live chat. If some of you guys that are in here, y'all remember that episode where I said that I was more excited for Evil Dead Rise than Halloween Ends. And this was a couple months ago. And the live chat and Christian were giving me a hard time, calling me a fake fan. They're like, you're not a real Halloween fan. I said, dude, I'm nervous. There's just a lot to be trepidatious about. So when I went into this movie pessimistic and walked out with the reaction I had, if anything, that's me being authentic. That's not me being a fanboy. That's me being like, I had low expectations, and this movie freaking knocked my socks off. Like there was just, man, I love it. And people will say it's dumb and it's this and that. I think this is one of the more multi-layered films in this entire series.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a lot smarter than people give it credit for. And whether you think these things resonate and these themes work or not, that's for you to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's there. And I love that about this movie.
Now we're at one of my favorite scenes in the entire, I've already come to this conclusion. This is one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise. At the pool. And, when I first was watching this in the theater, I was like, is this going to be, because we hadn't seen Corey like full on slasher kill yet. Yeah, he killed the homeless guy, and that was kind of almost an accident, but we hadn't seen him in action big time. And the way this whole scene unfolds, by the way, it's beautifully shot too. When you first, because you don't know if it's just Myers that's going to be killing in this scene. But when I saw Corey, like, it was kind of a shocking scene. The camera pans over and Corey's like on the ground stabbing this guy.
Did you notice him? You notice him in the back before the lights come on?
Let me see. No,
I want you to watch. So when she comes out there, you can see him in the back far right stabbing before the lights come on. And I noticed it my second watch, and I was like, look at
I see it.
Yep. Yeah. I thought that was so cool. It makes it that much more brutal because he's stabbing him for like 15 seconds before the lights even come on.
Yeah.
I mean, just going to town back there.
Man, I love this sequence so much. And it's another cool pool sequence, you know?
Oh, yeah. Beautifully shot. This woman's in it. She's gorgeous. So everything about this scene
everything about it just works.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, right there. I mean, holy shit. Like, I mean, I was literally like, oh my God. I mean, his first kill is like, whoa, insane. And he's got that freaking scarecrow mask.
They foreshadowed it too. When he took the cork out of the bottle of wine, it gave a close-up on the corkscrew. They like foreshadowed it like 2 minutes before, and I didn't even realize that. But Lee, in the trailer, I thought this was going to be Corey in the mask coming to kill her, so I was super happy in the theater to be like, oh my God, that's actually Michael. Like, hell yes. Because that's Michael's signature kill. Let Michael have that. Don't let Corey.
I saw people say that this movie was boring. How in the entire fuck can you think this movie's boring? I don't get it. It's a like the first movie, it's a constant build, you know?
Oh, yeah. I don't find this movie boring at all.
No. I mean, it's flying by.
I mean, unpopular opinion here, Lee, to some people, I'll just say, I don't think any of them are boring, but the most boring of the three is absolutely 2018. 100%. And it's not even a boring movie. Agree. There are parts in that movie that are like, okay, come on, let's get on with it. Let's go. Yeah.
I think that's why 2018 slipped so far in my ranking after multiple watches, is because it kind of felt, slow at times. And so I constantly found myself moving other movies in front of it. And eventually it was like number 10 in my ranking. Whereas Kills, it's never boring. And I've watched it like a dozen times, and Kills just flies right by for me every time. But this is my fourth watch, and every time I'm enthralled. And I don't know what the future holds. Like I said, I'm trying to be fair here. 6 months down the line, it might be a little, I don't know, but man, right now I'm just like.
Did you notice? I watched a video last night where somebody did like an hour-long, video diary on this movie talking about it. And I didn't even realize this till just now. Did you notice that when Michael has Nurse Deb up against the wall and Corey takes the bandage off his hand looks like it's healed pretty quickly. And then he puts his hand up against the glass. And people and the guy in the video said, when he's like near Michael, he's healing. And it's like,
I noticed that pretty much. My second watch is when that stuck out to me, because I remember him pulling the bandage off and I thought he was fully healed for a second. And I was like, oh my God. So the evil is actually helping him heal, but he still has there's still an infection there, which is this scene right here. She's going to tell him you're infected. This movie looks so different than the previous two.
I love the neon lights in the back.
Oh my God. It's almost got like Drive vibes to it.
Yes. Yes. Drive. Yes.
Yeah, man. Yep. Infected. That's a theme throughout this whole movie, man. Infection.
And it also goes to the point of saying that how does Michael survive after what happened to him in Kills if he's not superhuman? This movie helps explain that more with Corey. He isn't superhuman, but there is an evil inside him that can make him heal, quicker. That he can withstand more. He is a human. He's the vehicle.
In a way, you can look at this movie almost like a prequel. Yeah, just a template for what a prequel might be. The inception of a Michael Myers type killer if he was in his 20s. What would that process be like? I just love that they had the balls to do this story, and they got away with it. They weren't like stopped by the Akkads and no, we don't want that, because Malik Akkad has at least 100 scripts come across his desk for every Halloween movie. This could easily be one of those that could be a little bit too comic booky, and maybe I don't want to go with that one. But I think because this is the third part of a movie, and we've already we've made a lot of money with these previous two movies. I think if this would have been the first movie, there's no way in hell it would have been greenlit. And a lot of people were saying this should have been the first movie. It should have been the third movie. You wouldn't have seen this as the first movie. There's no way in hell.
Not just that, Lee, but people don't understand. Paul Brad Logan has talked about this too, and so has David Gordon Green. People said there's no way this trilogy was mapped out. You're right, but you're wrong too. No, they did not have all the minute details ironed out. Absolutely not. But Paul Brad Logan said that in 2016, when David Gordon Green approached him about Halloween, this idea was in his trilogy idea, in his Genesis. Like from the beginning, he had the idea of this evil transferring to somebody else in Haddonfield. So that had always been there from the beginning. How they got there at times might have been a little clunky. Yeah, sure. Might have been out of place. But
the idea was there.
Yes. And I think that John Carpenter and I think that Blumhouse and all them loved it, but they knew to get asses in the seats and to pay for these next 2 movies, we got to give them what they're expecting first. And then let's go off the rails then. And you know what? They made the money, and David Gordon Green at that point had earned the right to do whatever he wanted. So,
you know, part of me thinks that because one thing I'm noticing is we're not seeing that much of Jamie Lee Curtis. This is the Corey show. So maybe they said, you know what, let's give Jamie Lee Curtis, let's make her look like the hero here at the end of it. Let's make her just completely destroy Myers and she come out ahead, because they could have killed Jamie, which I think they should have too. They could have killed Laurie Strode with Myers. That could have happened. But I think because this is not really centered on Laurie that much, that they maybe wanted to give her that out. I don't know.
Yeah, and I want to know how you read this scene. Do you think this is real or not real? Because
I don't think Laurie Strode's not there, and she's holding this paper airplane.
She's not. Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's why she's not there, because it's his mind, because that paper airplane Jeremy had. So
Jeremy threw this paper airplane at him at the beginning of the movie, and so in his mind, Laurie is talking to him, and she throws that paper airplane. So he's thinking about the past, and so Laurie's kind of this symbol that's trying to warn him. You could even look at it as the angel on his shoulder. That's what Laurie is right now. That's trying to pull him out, but he's too far gone.
She's the angel, and she's the bane of his existence right now. She is in the way of Allison. He knows that she knows who he is or what's inside of him. And when I first watched it, I did see too, my very first review of this movie, opening night, people were like, oh, how did she just disappear out the window in 15 seconds? And I was like, well, I don't know if that was real or not. And now watching this, I'm like, and David Gordon Green hasn't confirmed it yet, but I don't think she's actually there. I really don't.
I would bet all my money that she's not there, based on the symbolism. People want things to be literal in movies so bad. And if it's not, then they tend to want to pick it. And I think that's why a lot of these movies that have symbolism in them often come across as polarizing. Like It Follows is a good example. I think there's a lot of symbolism in that movie. And because of that, it kind of throws people off. And they're like, nah, it's not for me. I don't like this movie at all. And
if anything,
that might be part of what we're getting here.
And if anything, that's what I was going to say. I think that this furthers showing the descent into madness for Corey. I think that having this scene of him talking to Laurie when she's not actually there and wrestling with it, it makes sense for the themes of the movie. He's literally telling her, you started this. You brought me in. It started off like more friendly. Then it's like he's antagonizing her or she's antagonizing him, and then she's gone because she was never there in the first place. And this is just visual symbolism to show Corey is losing his shit. Like that evil is taking him over. I mean, Christ, we saw it even heavier handed in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Oh yeah, big time.
You see just visions of really weird stuff, and that was visual representation for Laurie's descent. I think
honestly, this movie has the perfect balance of symbolism and realism. And to give a shout out, this guy sent me this this email, and he's talking about his name's Carl Gunther, and he actually caught something that I did not see, but at the beginning, that tragedy that happens at the end of it, you see Corey holding the knife, and it looks like Corey's guilty, even though the kid, but it was an accident. So at the end of the movie, when Corey stabs himself, you see Laurie holding the knife, and it looks like she's guilty. So it's another one of those scenes that it's like a parallel in the movie, and it repeats itself.
I've had people complain about that too. Why would he stab himself? That's so corny, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, guys, it's set up perfectly. Allison's car pulls up and Corey hears it and turns and looks at the door and then looks back at Laurie and smiles. And the reason he does that is because he realizes he's dead to rights. He knows he's dead to rights. He's already been shot twice. If she comes in the door and sees this, it's easily explainable. He tried to kill me, and then Allison's like, I don't want you. And then so he wants to die a martyr. He wants to die a martyr to where Allison will abandon her grandmother. And guess what? If I can't have her, you're not going to have her either. So
this is a character that's not afraid of death. You know, he's too far gone. The evil is using him, and I think that's part of the thing too. Is like he's constantly fighting this evil that's taking him over, and so to the point where he's almost willing to just give up his life to be done with it. You know?
Yeah.
Where I think if he was 100% consumed and the evil was completely taking over, then yes, it would have found a way to keep him alive. But Corey's kind of the hero in this movie in that sense because he's willing to give his life to take out the evil. We've seen this happen in so many movies to defeat whatever the villain is or the evil is. The good guy, he kills himself. You know?
Oh, it's absolutely more of an anti-hero story. It absolutely is. You know, again, we keep going back to the fact that I've literally had people tell me in the comments like, man, look at you twisting yourself into a pretzel trying to defend this movie. That's
same here.
That's how you know it's a bad movie. I said, no, I'm not. I don't have to twist. I'm telling you a lot. That's how much shit is in this movie. That's how much you can take away from this movie.
Yeah.
If you want to look
Plus,
at it
by that logic, then you're pretty much stating that, like, you know, half of Kubrick's movies are bad movies because you have to think about them. That's the dumbest fucking excuse I've ever heard.
Do you know how layered The Shining is? Do you know how layered that movie is? Like,
it's so layered, it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Fucking morons.
No, I'm sorry that this wasn't just stab, stab, stab for 90 minutes. All right, go home. Yeah. Wasn't that fun? No, there's a lot more here. And I feel like if some people, it's partially Kills' fault for setting them up based off of what they saw in that last movie. But at the same time, as a modern audience, guys, temper your expectations with going into a movie. Like, it's important. I really do think it's important because you will be blinded by rage that you didn't get what you were expecting. You will fail to recognize any of the merit in a film, any of it. And that's just not fair at all.
This movie's a gift. We're the 13th movie into my favorite franchise, and they just gave me a movie that I did not expect that really swings for the fences in terms of like symbolism and just making you think when you get right down to it. I mean, most of these movies, they're popcorn movies for me. So to have a Halloween movie that digs this deep and plays with things, I don't know, just I love it. I love this movie to death.
I mean, how many 13th movies in a long running franchise can, whether you hate it or love it, make you think and introduce new ideas? It doesn't happen a lot. So
no, it doesn't. And most of the time they go off the rails if they do try to do this shit, you know. And some people would say that this went off the rails. They would think that because of Corey taking his own life. But I really think there's a reason for everything in this movie. I do.
I think it's all there, man. I think it's just, again, you know, I hate the idea that some people just will make it seem as if this movie was shot for $500 on a home, you know, a video camera that you got when you were 12. And there's no merit to it because it's just false, man. You may not like it, but there's a lot of good in here. But this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I was just going to say that. We're coming up to another one of my favorite scenes in the franchise. This scene is so well put together. It's got a little bit of that nostalgia because you're hearkening back to Christine. Oh my! If anything, I think a lot of people that didn't see Christine, they want to see Christine after watching it. This scene is so free. Like, Christine's got one of the most underrated scores ever.
Oh,
you know, it's and you can kind of draw some comparisons to the Halloween 3 score with Christine. They do sound kind of similar.
Lee, this is my favorite score of the trilogy. And
me too. Me too.
And people have been like, "What are you talking about?" There's something so haunting in this score. Like,
oh, it is.
And you listen to it front to back, it's a great listen. Like, it really is. Oh, I was smiling ear to ear at this moment.
Oh, yeah. I listen to this in my car all the time. The Junkyard track.
Yeah. But yeah, in the theater, I'm sitting here giddy as hell when he's chasing them in the car. I'm like, let's go. Kill those assholes.
Chat, if you've never seen Christine, this scene is straight up an homage to Christine. Even the truck, the trucks is like Christine. He's not. You don't see the killer. You see the truck.
Lee, is Corey even really to blame there? She got over the fence and then stood on the other end just to scream.
I was thinking that too. Like, why wouldn't you step out of the way?
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, this scene is just. This scene made it easier to accept Corey's turn because he's a badass in this scene. So you're like, okay, all right, you can hang with Myers, dude. Like you can.
Now, I think this is a fair statement by Stacey Johnson. She says, at the end of the day, I watch Halloween movies to watch Michael Myers do his thing. Ends needed more Michael Myers. Halloween Ends has way better writing for sure. And I was just talking to Nick before we did this too. I was like, I welcome comments of people, using healthy debate and stating, I don't like this movie because of this, this, and this, instead of this movie fucking blows chunks. That's what you'd usually get. So I love it when somebody actually states why they dislike a movie. And hell, Stacey even mentions something that's good about the movie. I love healthy debate in movies. That's why I made a YouTube channel in the first place. So good on you, Stacey.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, Lee, do you think, because I've said this, do you think Corey was going to kill Ronald? Because I say no.
No.
I don't think he had any intention. I think that's why the mask was off.
That was an accident,
personally.
I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, the kid shot him, but I think he had the mask off, and the look he gives Ronald in that moment is like, hey, we need to talk. It doesn't look like he wants to kill him.
No.
So I still maintain that Corey only went after people that in a vengeful way.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is just chef's kiss.
Oh yeah, man. The freaking oxyacetylene torch. By the way, that was my job in the military when I joined the military. I was a welder, and I used to use the oxyacetylene torch on a daily basis. So that was like something for me,
Oh, and I'm sure you can understand how hot that probably is and how bad that would hurt.
Forget it, man. You're toast.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably hot enough to shatter your teeth. You know what I mean?
Well, I used to cut metal with it. And I mean, it goes through it like butter, 1/4-inch carbon steel.
Mm-hmm. I'm also very excited for the extended scenes on the Blu-ray to see his mom's kill. Because we saw glimpses of it in the trailer.
Call back to the first movie with Deborah Hill grabbing the knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole sequence when he goes around, he gets out of the truck, camera pans around the truck, he hits the girl with the pipe wrench. I mean, just beautiful. That's how you film a slasher scene, So they're giving you that too.
One of my favorite parts about that scene is when he steps out of the truck and drops the wrench a little bit. Just to show that he's got it. I love that. Like that's, I'm telling you guys, Corey Cunningham, give it a few years and some of you guys are going to start coming around to this guy. Like this is very reminiscent of Halloween 2 right here. I think the red lighting, the way he's walking, the way they're shooting him, it reminds me of Halloween 2.
Now, I don't know if Rowan Campbell's playing Myers here. I'm guessing he is, but damn, he's got the walk down.
Oh yes, he does. Yeah.
I'm sure he took a little lesson from James Jude on that one.
Mm-hmm. And Diana
I love that
Prince.
picture of James Jude Courtney hugging Rowan Campbell.
Yes.
Just such a beautiful picture.
I'm excited to see Diana Prince's kill scene on the Blu-ray as well.
Yep, because they cut it. That's a shame.
Oh, because she probably died in a heinous way too.
Oh yeah. Well, I think they did that for a reason, for the overall tone of this movie. This movie's more about, I'd say, suspense and just.
It's why the blowtorch kill was kind of blurred in the foreground while the background was focused.
Yeah, it's more stylistic, I think, But you get a little bit like this scene right here with the tongue.
No, he deserved every bit of this. He deserved every bit.
I don't think he wanted this movie to be overpowered with gnarly kills.
No. And I don't know about you, Lee. I literally, when this happened in the theater and the tongue was skipping around, I laughed out loud and like someone looked at me and I'm just like, this is funny. Like,
this is my Christmas.
Yeah. Like it's dark, sure, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Like,
wow,
man. And just that whole sequence, man, we go from the junkyard to his house to the radio station of him just hacking people up. I love it.
Just never lets up. And then now he's going to Lori's house, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's one of those movies that has that full-on gradual up the hill build, and then it's jam-packed with just great action type stuff for pretty much the whole last act, you know?
I think the third act of this movie is one of the strongest third acts in the entire series. Like,
oh yeah,
starting from when he takes the mask and goes to the junkyard, it's pretty much money from here on out. Like,
you know, I can come, and this is a thought that I love that, by the way, the picture showing the picture of Lori and Annie and Linda. I just had a thought though, comparing this to like Rob Zombie's Halloween, the I guess the theatrical cut or whatever, but because you just mentioned a last act and how it's just this last act is perfection. And I think Rob Zombie's Halloween's last act is a little flawed because it does feel like he's stretching the scene out way too much. Like when he's up in the attic and he's like slamming it with the 2x4. Timing is so important when it comes to editing. You have to go, you don't want to go too long, you don't want to go too short. And that scene, I'm like, okay, we get the message. He's beating it, it just drags on forever. Whereas there's so much to pack into this last act, starting with him going to the junkyard, doing that whole bit. Actually, the pool is even before that. And then you're getting to this. So it's almost like there's almost too much to pack into this last act, but it just.
And to your point, man, I was going to say that I don't like the first half of Rob Zombie's Halloween. I liked it years ago. I'm not a fan really anymore. Yeah. I really do like the second half. That's where the movie is saved for me. But the last 15 minutes, dear God, please.
It's too long.
Yes.
And then all you hear is Lori just screaming the whole time. Somebody please help me. She just says it over and over and over and over. I'm like,
it's false ending after false ending. In the pool. Oh no. Oh, he's breaking through the window. Oh no.
Yep.
Oh, she's in the attic. Oh, she falls down. Oh, they go out the window. Oh, he shoot like Jesus. Like know when to end your movie. Like,
as much shit as I give Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm going to give her major props. She has that perfect balance with the screaming. She doesn't do it more than needs to be done. No. The most she does it is probably in the first movie. And even then she doesn't do it that much. And you could give credit to the editing too in that. But I think Jamie Lee Curtis probably has, I have a feeling that she's in control of her character so much that she would say, Lori wouldn't be screaming that long,
Yeah.
And she doesn't really scream at all in this movie, because she's so in control.
I wanted to ask you, did you at any point, because I did not believe she was ever going to shoot herself.
No, but I was scared. I'll admit that. I was like, what are they doing?
But I do think that, I don't know how to put it. It does show me that vulnerability is still there, that she does still think of that, but I don't think she ever intended on actually doing that.
Yeah, I think she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I still think that vulnerability is still there, but sometimes you can be so broken down inside, but you have a life to get on, and you might have a job that you have to go to every day, and you have a family, and you just have responsibilities. And sometimes responsibility forces you to come out of your shell and actually just get on with it. But you could still be very fragile inside. And I see that in Lori throughout this. She has those moments where you can see that vulnerability. She's not 100% healed, but she's made a choice to step up and try to get on with her life,
Yeah.
So it's believable to me.
And here we go.
Yep. Here we go.
It gives you that's those badass shades of Lori again. It's like, she
owned this. She was badass here. I mean, this is easily my favorite version of Lori out of this trilogy. I still prefer H2O, I think, overall, as far as Lori goes. But she's grabbing his. I mean, she's so in control. And one thing I didn't bring up earlier too was that she saw the evil in Corey right away. She's the only person in Haddonfield that knows exactly what Michael Myers is, and she saw it immediately in Corey. And I think that's a reason why they made Corey die as well, because Jamie Lee Curtis knew that she had to put an end to this as quick as possible. She didn't want to make the same mistake that she did with Myers, and 40 years later, she's still running from him. Here it is again in a 24-year-old, or how old is Corey? Is he 24? I think he's 24.
Yeah, he's 24.
She's having to deal with it again. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That laugh is pretty sinister there.
It's creepy, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think she would have killed him? Or do you think she was trying to save him still?
I think she was still trying to save him. I think that's why she let out the bullets.
I do too.
And then she's even like, oh shit, right here. I think he was going to end up in jail and everything. She knew that, but I think she wanted to try to save his soul, maybe, save him from becoming Michael,
Yeah, exactly.
Because she would blame herself for that. She'd blame herself because she saw it in his eyes. She knew what he was. And if she couldn't get through to him, she would feel like she failed again.
Yep. Man, you could read a lot into Allison in this movie because now she's going down that path of being broken. She's seeing a lot of shit's going on around her throughout these 3 movies. And this could have been her breaking point. She sees the guy that I don't know if she loves him, but pretty damn close. And he's dead now. And she saw her grandmother holding the knife, So if Allison didn't get that suicide warning and didn't come back, who knows where she could have been just completely destroyed emotionally.
Well, honestly, too, the way I read it the first time I saw it in theaters was it wasn't even the suicide thing that brought her back, although that was the final nail for her. She saw the radio tower on fire, and I think that's when she started to put 2 and 2 together. I think she was kind of like, Corey did that.
Yeah.
And if he had snapped and gotten to that point, why was he at her house? And then she checks that voicemail, and she's like, okay. Something
it's
else
like all these things the wheels start turning in her brain, and she starts realizing Corey has killed people.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, somebody's mentioning Corey isn't dead. Doom Turkey 83. I've heard a lot of people say this. You know how it is in these movies. If you don't see their freaking dead body, incinerated, there's always a chance they could come back. Do you think there's a possibility that Corey's not dead?
I think that you could try to explain it away in a future sequel, and I would accept it, but I don't think they ever will. No, not with what the fan base being as divided as it is over this movie. I think that this was a one and done.
I can compare this to The Dark Knight Rises. A lot of people after that movie came out were like, "Ooh, is Joseph Gordon-Levitt going to come back as Batman and they're going to continue?" I knew no way in hell Christopher Nolan would ever let that happen. This is we're capping this trilogy off. It's done. And I think this is the same type deal. You can leave these ideas open for interpretation, but we're not moving forward. My Vegas money would be that's the last we're going to see of Corey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because I do like him, but
I love Corey as a character, and I would watch a Corey-centered movie, but I don't know if it would put butts in the seats without Michael Myers.
It wouldn't. No.
I could love this movie, make love to it all day, but in the end of the day, is it going to go forward without Myers? No, it's not.
No. And I think that's the right decision.
I do too.
They put a
I think if they made a sequel, it would taint the movie. If they made a Corey-centered killer movie, it would taint this movie, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, this is what even the people that didn't like the movie, this is what they came for. This is the
final fight.
Yep. And I will say, I think 2018's fight is better. But it doesn't have the emotional impact that this one does. So
after I watched this a couple more times, I looked at this fight in a different way, almost cathartic. There's a scene in the fight when he's laying on the table and you see the camera pan and then you see the reflection. I didn't notice this on the first watch. She's holding his hand. And it's almost kind of touching.
It's poetic. Yeah, it's
poetic. Like she's saying goodbye to the killer.
She is metaphorically and literally saying goodbye to her boogeyman,
Yeah, she's saying goodbye to her boogeyman, and it's closure. She can officially move on with her life now.
I'll tell you what, too. People say, I can't believe a 60-year-old woman could take him down. For most of this fight, she's getting her ass kicked.
She is.
I'm going to say that it's not a fair fight. He still has the upper hand.
Yeah, he still has the upper hand. He's very weak still, but she's dealt with him her whole life, so she's not necessarily afraid of him like a normal victim is, and she's able to think on her feet, luckily. And so she looks at key moments to where she can kind of get the upper hand, like with
she
the
beats
kick
him with
to
cunning.
the leg,
Yeah,
you know,
with cunning,
with the knife to the hand.
If
a normal victim wouldn't be able to do that.
No, and if she didn't get the knife stab in the first hand to pin him down, she would not have won this fight. She won with cunning, not with brute force.
Exactly. You know, and this is the argument I've made with the movie Prey. Everybody kept saying there's no way a 90-pound girl is going to be able to take down a predator. If you watch how she used her wits, she used her brain against that predator because she knew there's no way she would be able to beat him in an arm wrestling match. You know, it's not about that. It's about being smart. And that's what she used his own weaponry against him. How people didn't see that, I have no idea.
I don't know.
So it's kind of the same thing here. You know, and Jamie Lee Curtis she said, whatever you do, do not make this look like a movie fight. Make this look like a knockdown, drag out, visceral fight.
Yeah, and it does. It looks
real. Yeah.
I mean, she had real bruises. She talked about it. She got beat to shit doing this.
Oh yeah.
So I'll give Jamie credit a lot for this sequence. She knew this was her last go around. She said, I'm going all out.
Going all out. Yep. Do I wish that both of them would have died? I think that might have been a little bit more poetic. Yes. But at the end of the day, it doesn't ruin the movie for me, you know, and there is a little bit, it is still a little bit cathartic at the end, you know, they're a little bit poetic, like you say.
Because it's that what everybody, we as fans can't help but smile for her because of the shit he put her through, that she finally unequivocally gets to say, I beat you. Like, yeah,
she did. Yeah. It wasn't like she got lucky, you know, she literally beat him. It helped that he was definitely in a wounded state. And you know what? Got to give it up for James Jude Courtney. I mean, closing it out, all three of these movies. And he had to give, I'd say, 3 different performances, but still make it feel like it flowed emotionally with this character. And I think he nailed it. He didn't just be a stuntman. He acted in this role, you know?
Oh, he did.
Yeah. He even stated that when he would get in character, he wouldn't even tell exactly what he did to interviewers. You know, that's how important Michael Myers was to him. And so he said he would just, when he had the jumpsuit on and he knew, okay, it's go time, he would just close his eyes and almost like meditation, he would go to a place, you know? And I think that's really cool. You know, he took the character that seriously.
Yep.
I think he even interviewed like real killers, you know, like what it's like to kill somebody.
I love that line. I thought you were the boogeyman, but no, you're just a man that's about to stop breathing.
Yep. Great line.
And some
there's a line
said,
that Corey says too, when he fights off Myers, he says, and this is such an important line in the movie. He says, you're just a man now with a mask. You know, he's basically telling him that you're not what you used to be. He knows that. And that's why Corey's able to beat him and take the mask, because this is a Myers that's like 20%.
Was this another scene? These flashbacks right here in the theater was another moment where I kind of got the feels.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
Big. And, you know, they're acknowledging that, yes, this guy was freaking Superman. He was like unstoppable. And that's why they put those flashbacks there to show that, hey, we haven't forgotten that, but he's not that anymore. You know, he's like what William Money was in Unforgiven.
Yeah. And some people have said too that this is like overkill. No, it's not. Not at all.
I'll admit, I'll be truthful. I thought it was overkill when I first watched the movie. After watching it 3 times, everything's necessary that they're doing.
She's got to make sure he's dead. I mean, he keeps coming.
It's almost
back.
ceremonial, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. The camera, and you see the reflection of her holding his hand. Stuff I didn't notice on the first watch. And guys, this is why it's important to give movies a second and maybe even a third watch, because I guarantee you things are going to pop out at you that you don't necessarily grasp on the first watch.
Mm-hmm. You know, we're about to get a moment in this movie, one of my favorite moments, just because thank God they only give Sheriff Barker one line in this movie, because he's the worst sheriff Haddonfield's ever had.
Yeah, man.
And
this is not his movie.
No, but the one line he gets in this movie, I'm like, okay, I'm cool with you.
I'm cool
with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got a good line.
Yep.
Yeah, what is it, like Tonight We Are or something like that?
They're saying, he's like, this isn't how we do this things or whatever. And he's like, it is tonight or something.
It is tonight. Yeah, like, that's a good line.
Or it is today, I think. It's something like that. But yeah, it's I'm cool with it.
Did you think for a second he was going to choke her to death when he reached up and grabbed her neck?
I don't know. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I was just like so into the fight and what was going on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna share my first experience. As it was going on, I was just kept thinking, no, don't kill my boy. No, because I'm so I'm just so obsessed with Michael Myers. And it was hard for me to take. I couldn't let him go yet, you know? Yeah. And that's what this movie forces you to do. It forces you to let go of your heroes, because eventually they're going to die. And like you said, man, it's kind of poetic. I think we all mourned a little bit in this movie.
But you know, Lee, the best part about it too is that it's okay, because we know that Michael will be back down the road in a new timeline and we'll get to see our guy again. But Jamie Lee is done. So
she's done.
This is her send off, that she gets to kill this version of Michael Myers. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too, because that's the thing too. After I watched it a couple times, I was like, Myers is going to be back in a big way. Probably they're going to bring him back and say, oh my God, we haven't forgotten about our boy. Okay. But we're just showing you the last part of his life, you know, and how, because he's got to die eventually. Right.
Yeah.
And the procession, oh my God, the music, that track. And I almost started crying, dude. Nick, I'm serious. I almost started crying as this scene was going on. It's like a funeral. It is.
There was a moment for me that I will tell you when we get there, where I actually did well up in the theater, and I don't give a shit. Like I literally told Christian, and Christian like was making fun of me, like in a funny way. He was like, "Didn't you say you like cried at this point? Almost cried at this part?" I was like, "Fuck you, Christian! Like, shut up." But but it was the end. I mean, we're gonna get there, but it's when you see the mask on the table, and then as soon as I heard the first note of "Don't Fear the Reaper," I smiled ear to ear and welled up, and I was like, "That's a perfect way to end this."
Yeah.
Like,
and here's something to people in the chat that got so upset about the way Myers was treated in this movie. I challenge you to do this. Go watch all the movies, not even just this time. Watch all the movies, all 13 of them. By the time you get to this movie and you watch what unfolds in this scene right here, it will be a lot easier to accept. You're saying goodbye to your icon, you know?
Lee, we're getting some shit in the chat for saying that we almost started crying. You know, some people are
I'm not afraid to cry.
I don't care. I mean, this franchise has meant literally everything.
It means the world to me, man.
Yeah. So, and we're not saying we were sitting here like, oh no, I'm just saying there's moments of catharsis in this movie that you just like you kind of well up a little bit, and you're just like, that really just happened. Like, that's awesome.
This is the magic of movies, man. They bring out emotion. If a movie makes me cry, bravo. Because I can tell you right now, less than 1% of movies make me cry. And there's got to be something extremely powerful to bring out that emotion in me in a movie, you know? Mm-hmm. And so it's an amazing experience when you're watching a movie and you're so into that movie that tears start rolling down your eyes. It's a memory that you'll never forget. You know, I think it's more powerful than laughter.
Well, not just that, Lee. I mean, for me, it was like, I'm saying goodbye to Laurie Strode. You know, this is it. Like, she's done. I've watched these movies I've been alive for almost 30 years, you know, like, this has been my final girl, you know, you're saying goodbye to
Jamie Lee Curtis anyway. They might bring Laurie Strode back down the line, but it won't be Jamie Lee Curtis. This is it.
Yeah. You know, it's like, it's almost like you're just appreciating her and what this movie and this franchise has meant to cinema and to you, and what she has meant to so many women. I mean, love her or hate her, there's a lot of women that really champion her arc of
Here's a question for you. and this just came to me too. What if down the line they decided, like Laurie Strode's died, she passed away, and they decide to maybe even like follow Allison or something like that, a family member, and Myers somehow comes back in a spiritual way, I guess would be the best way to put it. The essence of Myers comes back through another, and the whole thing kicks up again. It'll never happen, but just the idea that the spirit of Laurie Strode is still there. I kind of compare it to like Rocky and the way they're doing these Creed movies. And Rocky, he's done. He's not going to be in Creed 3, but I guarantee you his essence will still be in Creed 3. So what if they approached Halloween in that way? If the audience would give permission to bring back Myers in a different way, because hell, they've done it with Freddy. A freaking dog pissed on the ground and brought Freddy back.
Jason turned into a fucking slug that just went into people's bodies, I mean,
why can't Myers,
Yeah, no, I look, I would be okay with it because, like I said, we've gotten so weird in this franchise before that it's like, you can sell me on anything. I mean, you can sell me on anything. If it's well written, I can suspend enough disbelief to go, cool, I'll run with it. Let's see what happens.
I guarantee you they would have been fine with it in the 80s. Because of all the wacky shit that was going on in the 80s with these movies. Things just seem to be there's more realism in movies now, even if they're Halloween. They try to keep it grounded as much as possible, and dead is dead. Whereas in the 80s, dead wasn't necessarily dead.
No, it was not. And
no.
Look, man, in conclusion with this movie, I know that our rankings all the time as diehard fans of this series fluctuate from time to time. We can't help that. One day we're feeling more in the mood for something, but I don't think this is would ever go down. If anything, this could only go up. Like I'm not in a honeymoon phase with this movie. I think this is just a genuinely, really, really good movie that has a lot to say. And, if it didn't work for everyone, that sucks. I hate that for you. I hate that you didn't come away with it that way too. And it didn't resonate with you like that, but it did with me. And I don't think I'm ever going to come out of the quote unquote honeymoon phase with this movie. It's like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I saw that opening night in theaters. And from the moment walking out, I was like, that movie just did shit to me that a lot of these movies just can't.
This movie reignited Halloween for me in a big way.
Doesn't it suck too? It's the end of the trilogy, and it got us so excited.
It sucked, but it's kind of nice that it's the end of the trilogy, because that just makes it more special, I guess. Whereas I loved Kills, and I really liked 2018, but I thought, if anything, I'll probably like this movie like I like them, but I love this movie in a different way. And to me, that's like a gift. It's like they gave us this.
Lee, it's like you're talking about with Halloween 5 lately for you. Like, it's like, although I think this is easier to stomach for a lot of people, but like, I do think it's almost like unhealthy. Like, I lust over this movie. You know what I mean? It's like,
me too. I've used that word. I've literally used that word, man. I think I even posted it on Twitter the other day. I am lust. Like this movie, I lust for it. It's that good.
It's like feel, it's like you're almost like, it's kind of like you feel guilty. You're like, oh man, I shouldn't like you as much as I do, but I like you so much. Like, don't tell my wife type of thing. Like, it's just, I love this movie. It's just so damn good. And yeah, man, I cannot wait to watch this every year. I mean, this is one that is going in the rotation.
There you go.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. No matter what we say, it all comes back to that.
Call us Oscar the Grouch then, man, because I eat it up. I mean, I eat it up.
You know what? That's fine though. People, and I feel bad for that Daisy that they don't see what I see. But you know what? Then that Daisy might have a movie that I freaking hate with a purple passion that makes them freaking jump over the moon. And that's the magic of movies.
I've said that to people when we've talked about this movie and specifically, and I've said, guys, you say this movie sucks, and you say this says something about my taste, whatever. I'm sure there's a movie you love that I think is terrible. And isn't that the beauty of film? It's subjective. Art resonates in different ways with different people.
Jason, Born Slippy, he says, Alien 3. I was actually going to bring up Alien 3 during this. Alien 3 did the 5-minute gut punch, and it was completely unnecessary, in my opinion. I appreciate it more now, though. I was actually going to bring up Alien 3 about how Ripley, this icon, she gave her own life. I was going to compare it to what Corey did in this movie. She literally gave and she's like the biggest icon you can possibly imagine. She gave her life to defeat the evil.
Yep.
She falls in that freaking the vat or whatever. That's pretty much what Corey did in this movie. He gave his own life. So, I don't know. Maybe he wanted to look like the martyr. Why do you think he gave his own life, Nick?
Like I said, I do think that's what it is. I think he wanted to die a martyr. He knew he was dead to rights. He knew Allison was outside, and he knew that if she walks in and he's right there alive, and how it looks is not going to be good. He knew at that point he was screwed. Lori caught him. He was going to get blamed for all those murders, and he was not going to get to have Allison. So his win in his book was, that's fine, but I'll kill myself. So it looks like you killed me. So then you can't have her either. She won't want you anymore. And she'll excommunicate you. And in a way, I'm the winner.
Right there with you, Charlotte. I love Alien 3. And I love how different it is from the first. Really, the second movie is so different than the first movie. But Alien 3, especially the assembly cut.
I don't
know. There's definitely a sadder tone to that movie. But I eat it up. Like I've always loved Alien 3. And I think a lot of people don't like it, and I understand why they don't like it, because it doesn't have the same momentum, I guess, as Aliens. But I definitely didn't want another Aliens. So, and I like that Ripley was like in this prison setting and everything. I don't know. I love Alien 3.
I mean, we just see we're starting to see that more and more. It's starting to just become like commonplace now that these movies and these franchises that take really big risks, and at the time they come out and some people think it undermines what came before it, and then over the years it calms down a little bit, their vitriol's gone for it, and they just take it at face value for what it is, and they go, okay, I can kind of respect that, I can appreciate that. And this is going to be one of those movies, just like Alien 3, just like Halloween 3. I mean, go down the line. Like yeah.
Did you notice? I noticed something after this movie came out, Halloween Ends. And I'm not poking or anything, but I noticed like a lot of non-horror reviewers, like 99% of them, they discarded this movie like it was nothing. This is stupid. I can't believe they're actually trying this with this franchise. I feel like if you had to be like really like a lover of horror, but really a lover of this franchise to even kind of be on board with what they were trying to do. I guess what I'm saying is I think a lot of non-horror reviewers, and maybe even non-horror viewers, fans, were not going to get what this movie was going for. You had to be tapped in to this whole world to really, really appreciate what Halloween Ends is. And if you weren't if you weren't willing to give yourself the permission to dig deep and figure out what this whole world is about, what Haddonfield is about, what the evil is about, and what Michael Myers is really ultimately about, then you weren't gonna, and I hate to use this term, get it. I don't like that term, but that's the best way I can look at it. Because I just noticed I would look at all the reviews, that you'd see rolling out for Rotten Tomatoes, rolling out for YouTube, and before I could even like read the review, I was like, he's not going to like it. She's not going to like it. He's not going to, because I'm familiar with who they are. I'm familiar with the type of movie that they like. And I was right every time. They're not going to get it. They're not going to like this movie at all. You had to be dug in to really like this.
And you know what? That's fine by me.
It's fine. Yeah.
I've been making the joke lately. Hey, all you people that are turning on Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 now and saying it's actually pretty good, bandwagon's full. We closed that bandwagon. And in 10 years, when Halloween Ends starts to get the love, the bandwagon will be full. And obviously I'm kidding, because if you guys come around and you love these movies, that's awesome. But I really do think that you're absolutely right. There is a thing out there. There's a built-in critic audience that I feel the same way. When a movie's coming out, I'm like, they're not going to like this. They're just, I know
you already know. You already know.
Yeah. And then they come out.
I wouldn't waste my time with that garbage. You can already sense it, and that's just who they are. Is that everybody has their own flavor of movies that they like, and some people, they don't like horror. Some people, they don't like slasher. Some people don't like Halloween. We've seen it. We've seen the reaction that even the horror community, some of them, they hate Halloween. They can't. As soon as a trailer drops for any of the movies in this David Gordon Green trilogy, they're the first person. Oh God, this is gonna fucking suck. I hate it so much. And it's just like that gives them some kind of energy that they just love shitting on this particular trilogy more than any of the other movies. It seems like.
Yeah. And honestly, dude, I was talking to Christian about this the other day, and we both agree. I'm gonna wait for interviews to come out about it, but I am almost willing to bet you that this is John Carpenter's favorite of the trilogy. Willing to bet any amount of money that this is genuinely a movie this guy will probably be like, I dug that. Is it because it has a lot of references to his previous movies and influences? Maybe. But I also think it was because it's very akin to what he wanted to do with Halloween 4. When they
you just hit the nail on the head. I was just going to say it. He's going to be like, that's what I intended to do all along. And here, 45 years later, they finally get what I was trying to do, you know? And that's pretty cool.
Look, I mean, and, you know, a lot of people have said that too about this trilogy. Now they're terrified for David Gordon Green doing The Exorcist, and I'm like, I can't get behind that. You know, I'm not terrified because these are two totally different movies.
Totally. He even stated that he's approaching The Exorcist and let's be honest, it could suck. You know, Exorcist I think is much harder to pull off than Halloween. You know, because you're trying to compete with one of the greatest horror films ever made. And it still to this day completely petrifies people. You know, I just watched The Exorcist again not too long ago. And I'm like, damn, this movie still today holds up. It's still special. And it's terrifying. And to try to recreate that, I'm curious, but man, it's a tall order.
Yeah. And you know, the way I look at it too is like, if you know anything about David Gordon Green's like oeuvre and just like the movies he's done and work on television he's done, one thing a lot of people will say is he's actually very good with character drama. Like he really, really is. And The Exorcist is scary, but a reason it's so effective is because of the character drama in that movie. So kind of feel like it's more in his wheelhouse than Halloween is. So
the only thing I'm scared about is I think Exorcist, it's definitely more highbrow than Halloween. So you got to be careful with how you handle your characters, because let's put it this way, and let me know if you think I'm way off here, but the director of the Halloween franchise that's I think the closest to Rob Zombie in terms of characters is probably David Gordon Green. He does have some characters that are kind of like hickish, I guess, but he knows how to ride that line perfectly. They don't come across as a little bit too much, you know?
Yeah. And so with the one thing you're on to something, but the way I would put it more bluntly for me, the one hiccup I have is I think part of that is Danny McBride's writing. And I think that the thing I'm worried about is Danny McBride going to be writing lines for Pazuzu? Because, oh Lord, that could get rough. I mean,
you got to be really careful.
Yeah, you don't want that to come across too hokey, because you look at some of the lines on paper from The Exorcist that Pazuzu delivers when he's in Reagan, and you know, on paper you're probably like, that's really corny and weird, but it comes across as like,
really careful with those lines.
Yeah, it comes across like, oh my God, that's terrifying. So like, they better have multiple writers on this, is all I'm saying. Halloween Ends had 4 writers, most they had for the entire trilogy, and I think it shows on screen. So you know, let's go that route with The Exorcist.
Nick, I would say if somebody had to say, hey, give me a guy or girl that you think has the closest to your ranking, because I have a really wild, crazy ranking. I would say you. I think we have very similar tastes when it comes to this franchise. We both, and I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think we both like the Thorn trilogy. We like when the franchise gets a little weird. We love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. We probably both don't really care for Resurrection, even though we can probably have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah. You're like the closest to me. The one thing I was going to ask you, because Jason Smith from Sinister Cinema Reviews, he recently posted this poll that shocked the fuck out of me. Which timeline do you prefer out of this franchise? He posted it out to his subscribers. And he did the Thorn timeline. He did this David Gordon Green timeline. He did the H2O timeline. He did the Rob Zombie timeline, and I think he put Halloween 3 in there too. Guess which one won?
David Gordon Green?
No, the Thorn timeline won.
Wow.
Well, how fucking shocking is that? I would have never guessed. I would have put all my money that there's no way the Thorn is going to win over all the timelines.
It's funny you mentioned. It's funny you mentioned that, Lee, because I actually uploaded a video tonight on my channel ranking the Halloween timelines. And I got some comments on it already. Like, wow, I've never actually seen a video yet that has like ranked the timelines. I'm like, I'm sure I've seen.
I wish I would have thought of that. Damn, that's a great idea.
Go do it.
If I do it, I'll give you credit.
Well, do it. I mean, you're a Halloween fan, and I said it's the perfect time. David Gordon Green's timeline has concluded, for now. So what better time now than to go, let's rank the timelines and tell you which one's my favorite. And Lee's right, guys. The back 4 of our franchise ranking are the exact same. We have, I think, our top 5. The only difference is I have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 in my top 5. But all 4 of the other movies, they're interchanged different spots, but we all have the same 4 in our top 5. And then it's just the middle portion where he puts one maybe at 7 or 8, and I put it at maybe 6 or 7 and so on. But he's very right. When I watched his ranking video, I'm like, dude, we really are on like very similar wavelengths. Yeah.
And I would guess that your middle shifts probably as drastically as mine shifts
all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes. But
hey, where's ends for you right now? Is it
4? It's at 4. And
and mine was almost at 4, and literally in the middle of my ranking as I'm recording, I'm like, no, fuck it, I'm changing it right now, and I put it to 3.
It's funny you say that because I literally said in my ranking, in a few weeks, after a few more watches, I believe this will go into number 3. I really do believe this will be number 3 because I don't think it'll ever overtake. It'll never overtake the original from me, and it'll probably never overtake Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 for me. But yeah I could see this settling at 3.
Antonis, can you repost that? I'm going to watch the chat right now because I don't know how to go back and see. Let me see if I can go back that far. But
he asked earlier
just go ahead and repost.
Earlier in the night, he said that he saw Terrifier 2 and that he loved it and it was brutal and shocking. I think that was your first super chat, Antonis. And yes, Lee and I both dug the shit out of that movie too. So cannot sing that movie's praises enough. If you guys haven't seen Terrifier 2 yet, they just expanded it for a 3rd week this week. Go out and see that movie. It is batshit crazy.
Very few movies make people run out of the theater or make them vomit. So we are in that time right now where a movie has done that, and it's Terrifier 2. So you want to be part of that for sure. So Antonis, go ahead and type out in the chat what.
Oh, I remember his other one, Lee. His second one was, "What's your guys' favorite kill from Halloween Ends?" And mine's got to be the blowtorch. Got to be the blowtorch.
I would say, honestly, I think the doctor, Corey's first real kill. That might be my favorite kill, just for the emotional impact of it.
Yeah. I will say, I think all the kills in this movie are very solid. I really like
solid.
Yeah.
And the movie's good when you're not like wanting a certain type of kill. Like every time the kill happened, I was more emotionally involved, and I wasn't like, ooh, what kind of kill are they going to give me this time? Are they going to freaking saw somebody down the map? No, it wasn't like that at all. So that's just a testament to how good the movie is.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith says, same people who disregard this as trash for being so different would still have trashed it if it was just like 2018. And Tyler, we were literally saying that earlier in the stream too. You can't win with this franchise. You're going to get people calling it trash no matter what, So I would much rather have had what we got with Ends than the same old thing over and over again.
Yeah. No, it's just, it's what I say I've said since this movie came out is like, I never thought we would reach the peaks in the splintering of the fandom that we did with kills. Cause last year there was a lot of toxicity out there with kills that people genuinely didn't like it. Oh no, Ends surpassed that. I never thought. Yeah.
Oh, Antonis, I got his right here. It says, my last question is, what's the best David Gordon Green Halloween movie in your guys' opinion? Oh, Halloween Ends for sure.
Yeah, Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
It feels like the most David Gordon Green movie.
Yeah.
And
now I was going to add to that last thought. If I had my choice, if they said, hey, you could have whatever you want, I would have welcomed another movie kind of marrying kills up a little bit better to Ends, in that 4 years. Maybe something that kind of brings it all together a little bit better, because it is abrupt, even though I get what they were doing with ends, and I do think all three movies thematically fit nicely.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's room in there to maybe show how Myers might have ended there. You know, you could pull a 2 hours out of that, and maybe, I don't know how Corey could be involved, but I'd like maybe them to leave some kind of element to let the audience know that this could go into some weirdness with the final movie, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not complaining.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So we'll end it with Jesse Burns saying ends is trash. And you know, this is a lot of fun, guys. Rock on, Jesse. But Nick, man, this is gonna be, we've streamed a few times together. I'm really having fun. Every time you come on, dude, you make this so fun and so easy. And I appreciate you coming on and helping me out with this commentary.
I appreciate you asking me to come on, man. I feel like we do bounce off of each other really well because we have a lot of similar tastes. And I think that for people that like your content and like your taste and like my content and like my taste, I think that it's the perfect marriage of 2 hours of like, yes, everything these guys are saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we make sweet, sweet love when we do streams together. So,
and sometimes you need the streams like that where it's just like, you know what? A lot of people are hating this right now. Guess what? Not us. And I hope
we're in it together, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. So no, thank you.
What do you got coming? You got anything big coming up?
Well, like I said, I'm going to Scarefest tonight. I'll be there tomorrow. So I'm obviously going to do, a video from Scarefest. I'm not sure what content will be coming out of that, but I will do some stuff there. Like I said, I just dropped a video this evening of ranking the Halloween timelines. And then next week, this one's a beefy one. So it's going to take a little bit to edit and get all together, but I'm going to do a deep dive into David Gordon Green's trilogy. And I'm just going to say, let's look at this trilogy. Let's talk about all three of these movies, the themes they're going for. And at the end of the day, where do we stand with it? So I'm excited to, get into that. And I think that, you know how it is these next week and a half, 2 weeks left of October, you really want to hammer home this Halloween stuff and give the people what they want in October. So it's been Halloween centric on my channel for the past 2 weeks. It's probably going to stay that way. But yeah, I'm excited about some of the things I got percolating.
And kind of similar to that, I have a documentary that I've been working on for a little while called Beginning to Ends, and it covers the entire franchise. So I think it might be like an hour long. I'm not sure, but it's the first video essay style video I've ever done in 7 years. You'll see very little of me. It's mostly spoken word with a lot of footage of the franchise. And it's the first time I've ever read from a script. My wife actually wrote the script for it. And I changed. We actually intended to put it out before Ends, but we just couldn't meet that deadline. So I'm actually having to rewrite the Ends portion to reflect that we actually watched it. So my goal is to try to get that out before October 31st. Woo, that's gonna be tough.
I am looking forward to that, because let me tell you something too. As you're getting into that now too with this video essay style, I got to tell you, the most time-consuming thing to do.
Oh my God, yeah.
I truly appreciate how these people do it, because I did one for Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 that was only a half hour long, and it took hours.
It's fucking brutal, man.
Yeah,
it's brutal. So we'll see. You know what? The thing with the Halloween though is, you can put Halloween content out at any time and it'll get views. That's just the way the franchise is. So if it doesn't make it out by October 31st, oh well. But because I'm not going to put it out and it be half-ass. I definitely want it to be great. So it'll come out hopefully before the end of this year, but I'm going to try to hopefully get it out before the end of the month. So we'll see.
I look forward to it.
Well, Nick, thank you for stopping by. I'm going to put a link to Nick's channel in the info box too, guys. So make sure you go subscribe to him. He's got a lot of great stuff. But yeah, guys, take care. And I hope, if anything, this stream might make you think, you know what, maybe I'll give Halloween Ends another try. That's all I can ask for, right?
Yeah.
So take care, everyone. Love you guys.